All right, so back up in this bitch for another one. This is Connecticut's most controversial podcast. This is The Domino Effect. And as always, I go by the name of Domino. Appreciate you guys for listening. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Wherever you're tuning in from, be it SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube, iHeartRadio, wherever the fuck you get your podcast, we are there. Now, I know it's been a while on this fucking platform. I apologize. I'm sorry. All right? There's a lot of shit going on. If you listen to my other podcasts, you know what I added to my, list of shit to do, what I added to my plate, right? So if you don't know, I started doing stand-up comedy in July. Appreciate everybody that's been supporting and, giving me words of encouragement and good affirmation so far. And the guest I have today, I guess, supports me enough or likes me enough to come on this piece of shit podcast. He's a comedian first and foremost. He's a radio host at 99.1. He's also the author of the book, How Not to Suck at Comedy. We have in the motherfucking dojo, we have my Libra brethren. We have Pat Oates in the building.
I want to say right away, I am a supporter of you because you came out right away. You were funny in a comedy school when everyone else was just bullshit. Yeah. It was nice to hear someone have a real thought. Right. So if you notice, my eyes lit up. I was like, ooh, he has a real thought. And I got excited. So it's like, it wasn't like that you were like, right away, super funny, but you were the tallest midget. You know what I mean? Yeah. I was just like, all right, I know I'm dealing with some midgets, but this one can reach the top shelf.
Okay, yeah. See, I appreciate that. I appreciate that from somebody that's as accomplished as Pat Oates. So that means a lot to me, even being that I just started, like I said, a few months back. So I appreciate that. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
How are you?
Good.
How's your mom doing?
I just got back off a flight, visit her in North Carolina. She's in a hospital. They don't know what it is. It's almost like a dementia type thing, but they can't figure out. She was in a car accident, and all of a sudden, her mind was gone. I showed up on a Monday, and it was the first day in 30 days that she was clear, precise. She knew me, knew everything, asked me about comedy shows I was on. I was like, and the doctor's like, she hasn't been like this at all.
Is it because she saw you? Or?
So I thought that, because I'm like, yes, I'm a miracle worker. I am the medicine. There's other brothers and sisters, but I'm the greatest. Yeah. So I stayed over a night. The next day,
it was a favorite.
I came back on Tuesday, all gone. Nothing. She didn't even she couldn't communicate. They didn't know what it was. Like one glimmer. They say with that kind of stuff sometimes you can have them little open windows. Yeah. But I was happy to see her at both ends. Right. I was happy to have if it never comes back again, I got that moment. Yeah. And if it doesn't, and also it's good for me not to be delusional by seeing that one good moment, then not understanding that she's going through something. Right. Because she's in her 70s now anyway, so I understand that. It happens. But it scares me because her two brothers also had something like that. Right. Her mother had something like that.
Oh, so it's hereditary.
I'm worried. And also, I talk bullshit already. No one's going to know I'm crazy for 2 months. Right.
That's good. Well, I'm glad you got a level head about it. Well, you seem to have a level head about it. Yeah.
It's like, am I going to sit there and cry? Though. It is. No, and I love her, but at the same time, I'm going to just think about all the wonderful moments I had with her instead of worried about what's happening now. I'm not a doctor. I can't figure that shit out. Right. I'm not a believer. I'm not like a religious person, but I believe in beliefs. And I believe she's going to be okay in one way or the other.
Right. You and your mom close?
Yeah, I mean, I was probably the closest to her of everybody, but she did move to North Carolina, so she didn't like me that much. Okay. We're from Connecticut, so about 10 years, 5 years ago, she moved with a boyfriend of hers and just wanted to end her life somewhere warmer and nicer.
Warm and nice, just away from this bullshit.
Yeah, we had been here since I was, she'd been living here since I was born, so 40 years in Connecticut, cold Connecticut. So.
Cold ass, yeah. I mean, you retire somewhere warm, do something else, experience some other scenery, some other people.
Especially when you don't have much money to retire, your money's a little bit better the farther you go down.
Farther you go, exactly. You can, the shit that's going on up here when it comes to rent and, just buying land or
just
whatever.
Gas.
Gas. I just came back from the West Coast. I saw gas was $6, and that was for not even premium. I was like, what the fuck is going on out here? But yes, I'm glad your mom is.
I understand now when they don't let you take a shit at a gas station bathroom because now it's expensive. Now you're at a fancy restaurant. When it was $2, I was like, let me take a shit. But now I get it. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not dressed for this.
I'm just glad that gas went back down.
Right, it'll go back up. Don't worry, election's coming.
I hope it don't. I filled my fucking gas tank up one time. I thought I missed the hole. It was fucking crazy how much money he spent. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, I know a dude who's a truck driver, and he posts every week what he has to travel the country, the amount of money he's putting in a gas tank, and it's insane. And it's not. The companies aren't giving him more money, so he's just spending more money he's making traveling on the gas to do the job he's being paid to do. Right. So it's crazy. You're making a third less.
Fucking bullshit. So I guess where do I want to start? usually this is just like an interview platform. What the show started as is not what it is now. But your mom fucked up my birthday plans. So I wanted to come here, do a birthday pod and stuff like that.
Well, fuck her, man. What the fuck? She fucked my birthday plans up too. My birthday was Saturday. Yeah. And every year she's giving me a birthday card with the amount of money of my age in it. And I'm finally getting to an age where that money's something. It was like 6, I didn't give a fuck. Right. But I'm like 48, I'm about to get some money. And this is the first year I didn't get that. And this is where I know that I'm not saying I'm a sociopath, but I'm just saying there's a little feelings pulled back because my first thought was, oh man, I could have used that $48. Yeah, my mom can't send me this car. I should cry about the sentiment. I'm like, so when she was awake for that moment, I'm like, you missed that card.
Yeah.
She's like, I could try. I'm like, you ain't got no money in you.
That would have been nice. How was your birthday, man?
With a comedy show. That's what I love doing. If I can't be with my kids are 20 and 17. They both were working. They had stuff going on. I let them do their thing. I saw them the weekend before. I'll see them this weekend. But I was like, if I'm not going to do that, let's put on a comedy show because I love doing that. Let's have fun. So. All
right. Now you got a boy and a girl, right?
Yep.
Okay. Which one is 20?
The girl.
The girl. How's that? How's dealing with that? Because I'm dealing with like in a preteen, fucking 11-year-old, 12-year-old.
Well, do you guys already have a close? I mean, I know from your joke, but you guys have a close relationship.
Yeah.
For mine, we were always very close. My kids, I don't put filters on my kids the way I don't put filters on myself. So like they can talk any way they want. And a lot of people go, oh, then they're swearing all the time. No, if you let them do whatever they want, they don't do whatever they want. Because they don't feel like they have to like show or prove or go against. So we have such a close relationship. Like their mom is the one, and we're divorced, but like their mom's the one that like gets mad at every little thing they do, and they can just come to me, and I'm like, I'll be the lawyer, and I'll just be like, they're being humans. Calm down. Let them learn their own mistakes and do their thing. So she's doing her thing, and I'm always supportive of it, but we don't have friction because I don't ever get mad or disappointed or pull that kind of shit. How dare I be disappointed? Like I chose to chase a dream my whole life and not make more money or do things and just do things I love to do. So I'm never going to tell them you're making a bad decision. It's their decision. I'm just I'm here to cheerlead, not to judge. You know what I mean? So we get along real well because of that.
Now, do you think if you weren't a comedian that you would have that same approach to your kids? Because, comedians, they say whatever they want, they do whatever they want. They kind of lackadaisical on a lot of shit. Do you think if that wasn't the case, you would be more strict or?
No, only because thank God comedy came into my life. It was a mistake. I didn't even choose to do it. A friend tricked me into doing it, and I found it. But this personality has ruined my marriage. It's lost me jobs. It got me thrown out of schools. I went to 3 high schools in 5 years. I toured around Connecticut. I went to 3 totally different kinds of high schools too. I started off in Cheshire High. And then I went to Eli Whitney in New Haven, and then I went to Derby, and then went back to Cheshire. They took me back. Right. I wasn't being thrown out, but I was asked, you could not come back. Right. Like, I just didn't go to class. I just walked around in circles and talked shit. But what I do now, so when I found comedy, it's just finally something fit where I was accepted. But everything else didn't do that for me. So the personality was always the same of just like let people be them, but also just say what I want to feel, but let them say things to me too. I'm all about ripping off the Band-Aids for everybody. You say your shit, I say my shit, we're past it. Right. So I think I still would have been the same way.
So that's when the class clown like fully kicked in, was high school?
No, class clown was even before that. Class clown was as soon as my parents got divorced when I was 6 to get attention. Okay. It's always been, I'm on stage hoping my dad and my mom will just hug me.
Okay.
But now they do hug me, I'm like, well, hug me better.
Right. Yeah, hug me a little tighter. More often, please.
Combination of oldest of 6 kids, but my dad had three different marriages, but kids from only 2 of them. But being the oldest of 6 and like knowing that attention wasn't going to be there right away once more started coming along, that it's like I know right away that I was doing this to go, hey, look at me. My other siblings were all good in school and focused and more about logic, and I was just more about let's just have fun and see what happens. And that's all attention. That's all this ever is.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. I mean, we like to say that we don't want attention, crave attention, or we don't want people's fucking, affirmations or whatever, but we do. We all do.
I want it, but when I get it, I don't appreciate it.
Why is that?
I don't know. I'm still going to therapy for that shit.
Okay.
But legitimately, I'm the kind of person that I go on stage and I'm very happy that people are laughing and enjoying it. But if they come to me after and want to talk about it, I'm like, get the fuck away from me. But I've learned now not to say that anymore.
Yeah, you can't say that out loud.
But I used to. I mean, I used to actually say in my act, hey, we did it. Right. So afterward, you don't have to tell me your thought. It's not a Yelp review. I'm a human being. Right. Go the fuck home. Like, if you were funny, you wouldn't be here with your wife sitting here paying to listen to someone. You have no ability to be creative. You're dumb. I'm smart. So just go home. and then they still would talk to me. I'm like, what the fuck?
Right. Now, is your dad still with us?
Yep.
Okay. Now, has he ever been to one of your comedy shows?
Yes. He's been to not a lot. Neither. My mom would go to a lot more. My dad has gone. He's very supportive. They're both very supportive. My mom was always supportive, but to the point of too supportive where there wasn't any structure to it. Just kind of like, yeah, just do whatever. It's okay. Pat says crazy things. He means well, but it's like once in a while you tell me not to say that to a teacher or not say that to that person. But my dad was very strict in his ways because he wanted to act like a disciplinarian for the time he lost when he wasn't around when he got divorced. And then, like, so put in things like that. But he finds himself very funny. My dad, when I first started doing comedy, he came to a show and said, if you want, son, I can write your jokes. So you're funny. Right. And I'm just like, fuck you. Like you talk at church dinners, like to 90-year-olds about when they're eating porchetta in Derby. Like, you're not funny, but like, I get it. At least he was trying to show some kind of thing. So, but now because I do things where it's money is being made, not a lot, but enough to pay bills, and I'm on radio and I wrote a book. Now they're like, oh, he's a comedian. We can brag about it. They they didn't tell people at the beginning.
I mean, a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't because they don't want their son up there telling shit jokes. That type of thing. They don't want to, they don't want to be embarrassed because, everyone's son is like, well established. They got a good job, lawyer, doctor, all that bullshit. I'm like, oh, my son's a comedian. Like, oh, he does nothing.
But I don't care that he got married 3 times. Like, so it's like, like you run around just having sex with everybody. Like, I mean, do you let me do me? Like, that's all I'll never do. My kid's gonna do whatever they want to do. I'll be supportive no matter what they do and be proud of whatever they do. That's them. They're not an extension of me. I had sex, they came out.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like I love when like Italian people when they always bragging about being Italian. It's like. And then you find out they've never been to Italy. They're just from East Haven. Right. And it's just like, what are you bragging about? Your grandparents fucked in Rome? Like, You've
never been to Sicily, nigga.
Yeah, shut up. You're not from there. I'm not Irish. I'm from Connecticut. Right. My grandparents had sex in Ireland. Yeah. And then some other things they made came here.
Came here.
Literally.
Now, as far as your dad's family, you're the first family that he...
Yes, there was... I've been saying it on stage. I'm trying to figure out how to word it. I say that I've got 2 original siblings, right? Like I basically call it original, extra crispy, and then wings at the end.
Like a fucking rotisserie,
right? But I've got 2 real, 1 half, the 2 halves and a step.
Okay. Now, do you feel any resentment towards your dad? Like, do you guys talk about what happened and what transpired? Where it was like, you left my mom, that's fucked up. I felt the type of way. It sent me down this path. You fucked up my whole life. Well, not fucked up, but I could have went left and I went way right.
He at first was the one to tell me that that's why things were happening, and I had to tell him one day. We had good talks about. He's a very good parent of adults. He's not a great parent of kids, and some people are that, and I'm fine with that. Hey, it's who you are in life. No one teaches you how to like handle this stuff. If he was the reason why he kept, I don't know the reason why he kept getting married and getting in and out of relationships, but it's not comfortable with himself. Right. We've become closer because he was an athlete. He wanted to be a lawyer, all these things. And then I was born. So all that stuff had to stop because he had to be a responsible father. And I think that's what cut him off from not wanting to be in a marriage later on because he couldn't be him. I saw that and said, well, I'm not going to be that. I will be there for my kids, but I'm not going to be stopped by anything to do the things I love to do and also be a parent. You can do both. You know what I mean? You can chase a dream, but also teach others to chase a dream. So we've talked about that, and he is proud of what I do now, but he's also older, so it's like, and I'm a junior. So therefore, I think he feels like I was the one that was out there with his name, and I had to tell him, you shouldn't have done that then, because it's our name. We're different. It's like, and I used to do a joke on stage saying, because my dad looked up, one day Googled me years ago. He Googled himself, actually.
Basically.
Right, and he Googled himself, and he's looking for some like meeting he had at a warehouse, and he couldn't find it, and he called me and said, all I can find is your comedy bullshit. And I was like, sorry, I did well. And then he kind of laughed at that, and I said, do you think Martin Luther King Sr. made this phone call? And he was just like, son, these marches, I can't find my meeting.
That's good.
Right. And he said, and he laughed and went, oh, okay. Never mind. And he laughed and was, you are funny. And it's like, okay. Because I mean, at first your parents, you're not going to look at your kid as someone funny. They're your kid. Just like when you if you accomplish everything, the people that are going to take the longest to notice your accomplishments are the people you grew up with. Right. Like I have friends in high school who keep saying, oh, so do you do shows with real comedians? It's like, Motherfucker, I am a real comedian. But I understand. I'm just the dude they went to gym class with. I get that. That's in their heads. You have friends that have done things. They're like lawyers and high respect. And you're like, that's the dude who shit his pants in third grade.
Yeah.
But he shits his pants in a courtroom now.
Yeah.
It's different. So I get that. So yeah, my dad and I, we have a good relationship. No one's super close in our family. But we talk like every other Sunday. He lives like down the street from me.
Okay.
But I see him once every 2 weeks.
Okay.
He does his thing. The family gets together, the younger brothers and sisters. I talk to my mom more until now, but like there's never been like this super closeness of like every day. You know what I mean? You kind of move off and do your own thing, but if you need anyone, they're gonna be there.
I felt like that at first when I had my first kid, where it was like I feel like you stopped me from doing a lot of shit I wanted to do. I wanted to travel. I wanted to do X, Y, Z, or whatever. Do you feel like your dad resents you in any aspect?
I think he did. I think that's way gone. The way he
you
talks
think he left
now.
because of you?
No,
like,
there's three of us, so he left because of the three of us.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, he stayed. Yeah.
I think when the third one happened, he was like, "There's no getting out."
Too fucking much.
And also 2 years, like it was 6, 4, and 2 when he got divorced with the ages. So everybody's so close.
Oh,
you know, and this is also. So I was born so like 1980. If a woman is working and helping out, she's not really. He's working everything, doing all that. He was a drinker at the time, so he couldn't live that life he was living.
Right.
I don't know if you know about your parents. I can't imagine my parents ever being together. I mean, knowing their personalities, they got divorced. I'm like, yeah, you guys should never fuck. Like you just shouldn't. Like, I know when they become parents, we think like there's a unit, but there are people in your life you just had sex with that you shouldn't hang out with afterwards.
I mean, yeah.
Sometimes you do because you have to because of responsibility. I'm actually happy for them that they did separate because my mom found happiness much later in life with a person she loves. My dad had more kids. I'm happy my sisters came and found that, then moved on. At least he proved to me that you're not stuck in things.
Right.
And I kind of like that thought. Like divorce isn't a terrible thing. We're used to it now, but for a while that was a stigma.
Right.
So if I got in the way of the dreams, okay, sorry, but now an avenue turned you here. Now do new things with your dreams. Find other avenues to do stuff. If one door closes, find another door.
I see this quote a lot. It's not really a quote. It's just like a saying between like a lot of men. It was like, having a baby mother now makes me realize why I grew up without a father type of thing. So, you know, do you think you're more like your mother or your father or just like a good mix of both?
I don't think I'm like either one of them.
Really? Even with your dad saying, oh, you're funny. So you a little bit like
my
me.
My dad's had a weird sense of humor, and that was the way he communicated with us. But I don't. Besides that part, I was exposed to environments where I was allowed to say crazy shit, so that influenced me to have a sense of humor. But my brother was in the same environment and didn't do that. He has a good sense of humor, but he doesn't use it and establish it. So it's like we all just kind of like sat in this area. But like,
I mean, you all got different like phases of him though.
Yes, but my brother is a lot more like him. My sister is a lot more like him. I guess I'd be a little bit more like my mom, where like the freer spirit, and the not the worry of like when you're supposed to worry. Like I have things in life where it's like, you know, you should be more worried about this thing or that bill or this thing. And I'm like, nah, it'll be all right.
Yeah.
It'll be. And my mom was kind of like that, and then sometimes it wouldn't be all right, but like, okay, I'm still alive. I'm still, and some people can freak out about that. I'm not worried about materialistic things or things. My mom never was. My dad was more worried about having to be the responsible and taking care of things, but also wasn't responsible by leaving. So it's like, I guess I just don't give a shit about my decisions as long as everyone's okay. And my mom was more that way.
Like you seem like you give up the aura like you give a fuck about a lot, but don't give a fuck about a lot at the same time.
Yes.
So how do you balance that? Like, how do you pick and choose what you give a fuck about? Is it just like, okay,
I give a fuck about, when it comes to people,
yeah,
I give a fuck about people. There's a difference between hustling and being a hustler. Right. And someone who hustles, I appreciate. Someone who has shares a passion. I have a passion for comedy. If you have a passion for comedy or music or anything, even if it's just like you like to make like crafts on fucking Pinterest with fucking popsicle sticks. Right. If you're into that shit, then I love the fact that you found something that makes you happy. But if you're someone that just pretends to do shit to waste time, I don't waste my time. Right. Comedy wise, if you're gonna come up to me and say, like we did that comedy school thing, and there was dudes in there who were just wasting time. Some people just treat it like a dart league or a bowling night. They just want to meet friends and do it, and that's good for you. Good luck. Get the fuck out of my way. Right. Because I've done enough in my comedy where it's like I know I'm not going to be like this national touring comedian. There's decisions I made in life that didn't get me here or there. I'm still very happy in what I've done. I've worked with a lot of great people, and I'm still going to keep pushing it. I don't think there is a making it type thing, but I do have the ability to help out younger people in this area and try to make comedy, you know, better for all of us and enjoyable. And I'm only going to help the people that want the help, but also will help me grow it.
Right.
By being funny or being passionate or doing whatever. But people just want to tell my friends I'm a comic. Get the fuck out of my way.
Yeah, right.
So I don't respect that fake shit.
Yeah.
You can read it right away.
I don't like motherfuckers that try shit because it's popular or it seems cool. I want you to actually like have a passion for it. Like we were saying before the mics got hot. Everybody wants a podcast. Everybody wants to do it because they think they could do it. You know, they see people, they make it look easy. They think like, oh, I'm funny. I could talk with my friends for umpteenth hours and we can, you know, garner our audience and have ads and make money and shit. I'm like, no, you can't. Like, you funny to the motherfuckers around you. You're not funny to the fucking world. Like, everybody ain't in your inside joke or whatever the fuck. Everybody's not gonna gravitate towards your energy or like what you think is funny. It's like you gotta be like well-rounded. You gotta be passionate about this shit.
No, I get when younger. When I say younger, like I'm 48, so anything like 30 and younger, I understand that mentality though, because they were only raised in a time with internet, with everyone having, like Andy Warhol years ago said, everyone gets 15 minutes. Now he didn't think Facebook was gonna be a fucking thing,
exactly,
where everybody have their own page and you literally could find everyone in the world. I grew up. I'm at that age where half my life I've had no internet, half my life I have, and I will tell you, it's got pros and cons. Way more pros. I hate old people that say, "Oh, it's way better back then." Playing with a stick outside, fuck you. Way better video games. Like, it's like being able to find porn whenever, way better than a magazine.
It was way easier to find porn now.
It is like, but all these ways. But so I understand people thinking all my thoughts matter. But I do miss that time when you could say to someone, "Nah, like only 8 people's opinions matter. Most of you shouldn't have opinions." And so everyone thinks they have to have one because they need a thumb for it. You gotta like that. You gotta like what I'm saying or disagree. But either way, you need to react to what I'm saying, and that's why people need that. And I think the problem is with comedy now and the way it's super involved with Andrew Schultz and stuff like that, where you could just go on Instagram, build a following, and then tell jokes. I mean, he's super talented, but he showed everyone, oh, you don't really have to work at comedy. If you could just build a following and everyone just says they like you, then you can just say you're a comedian. Yeah, good luck to you, and I hope you make it, but get out of my way.
Yeah.
Because you're not doing it the way I want to do it. I want to write things that come from within me. I'm proud of the stuff I create, if it bombs or it works, because I don't want to use someone else's jokes or material or just ride off popularity. And I want those kind of people around me. And I think that, because I thrive better. I like being around younger comics more than older comics, because I always treat it like going to open mics. There's no one else doing it as long as I have in this area who goes to open mics. Usually it's all younger dudes and then me. And younger guys will ask why. I'm like, it's like Rocky 3. when Apollo brings Rocky to the gym. And he sees that eye of the tiger. Everyone's got that hunger, that hustle. That makes me write more. That makes me push. If I go around other dudes who are just happy doing spaghetti dinners on a Thursday at a VFW and doing the same jokes for 10 years.
They don't want more.
Like even on the show we did this weekend. About a good buddy of mine, John, who was the one closing the show. He's been doing comedy for years. Yes, he was not feeling well. I mean, by that I mean fat. But like, so he was so fat he couldn't do stuff for a while. In the hospital, he's just getting his fat up checked. But I've known him forever. But he was doing jokes he did 10 years ago. And it's just like, and yes, he's having fun. So I'm not shitting on his fun. We all do different things. But I would hate myself if I was doing jokes from 10 years ago. I get rid of shit every 2 years. I record an album and I get rid of something and I put it out there.
That. But I got a problem with that a lot, because being that I'm in this realm now and that I'm such a big fan of comedy, seeing jokes that I've seen 8, 9, 10 times from the same motherfuckers, I'm like, are you a joke teller? Do you just want to get in front of a crowd, or do you want to be a comedian? Do you want to be an artist? Do you want to like further the craft? Like whether it be locally or internationally, nationally, whatever the fuck. You still doing the same bit that I've heard you do at this theater, this open mic, this venue, this arena. I'm like, what's the point of this?
The comics that make it, the comics that do well, the guys that I've had a chance to open up for and see them when they record albums and things, usually what you're doing, I know a lot, when people first start in comedy, I think they really do believe people are just making shit up every night. Now, you learn right away, no. You have to work really hard. You have to put a lot of effort in to make things look effortless. And that's kind of where all this comes. It's so open mics, when we go to the same ones, I actually appreciate a comic who I see doing the same jokes, but there's changes. Like a guy who, like the way I write jokes, I'm not a notebook person. We talked about that in the comedy school. Like everyone write your own way, but like to me, I didn't do well in school. But if I go, I'll take an idea in my head, just something that happened, and I'll go on a mic and I'll record the audio 5 minutes, working it out. then I'll write off that.
Right.
And then every time I go on stage, I'm tweaking that, I'm changing that, and it'll evolve differently. So if you see me start telling a joke at one mic, if you see me a month later, that joke is completely different.
It's not the same.
And it works. So I appreciate when people do that stuff. But when I see somebody do the same 5 minutes at just open mics, they've never pursued to try to get booked on a show,
Right.
that they think that's their comedy shows, once again, get out of my way. Exactly. How is this even fun for you? Like, you're just trying to get out. How are you? It's like if you play a video game, but you never try to beat the level.
Right.
Like, you just play that one level. I'm good at this level.
I'm just restarted.
I didn't like it. I think it's good. I almost got down the pipe. Mario almost made it. But like,
I'm good right here.
I'm good right here. But like, why not try something new? Why not push yourself to the next limit? I have fun on stage. This is we were talking about before about like caring and not caring. I hate comedians who say, I just love to bring laughter and joy to other people. Fuck you. No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't. Like, I don't give a fuck about them.
It's a self-gratification thing. It's
laugh.
not for them.
Well, my goal is to make them laugh.
The goal is to make them laugh, but I'm doing this more for me than them.
But because that's the goal of the game. Yeah. My high score is the laughter and the clapping.
Yeah.
But like, I don't care if they go home and feel good. I don't give I'm not affecting them after. And if I do, whatever, I don't give a shit. They didn't affect me. It's like, I don't care. I go up there because I like creating jokes. I like taking my dumb idea and making it something that becomes universal. Like we talked about, I said before, someone on a podcast doing an inside joke. I love making an inside joke everybody's joke.
Yeah, right.
And that's the beauty of that makes us different than non-comedians. I always say, like, if a funny story is great, then your uncle and not Chris Rock will be famous. You just be in the backyard killing it with that joke while you're on.
Exactly.
But I don't get that joke. So you got to learn how to do that. So I love comics who are working on that. You see me, I run up to comics and go, it's like, oh, take this and that. And some of them go like, who the fuck's this dude?
Right.
Why does he give a shit? I'm like, because I love comedy. I don't give a shit about how you do. But if you're going to go up there, I wanted to give you a couple cheat codes.
I want you to kill it. Yeah, I want you to.
Or at least represent well, because Connecticut gets a bad rap.
With everything.
With comedy, and I understand why. We are in the middle. We're two great things that are there, Boston and New York. And the comics themselves get that thing where it's like, we're in minor league baseball, and if I get good, I should move. I was like, well, why? Why can't you make this the majors? You could do real well here too, and you're going to get lost the other way. It's our mindset. The audiences feel that because they're being told, oh, it's just Connecticut comedy. So they come in with a hatred because everyone's like, oh, Connecticut stinks. It's all of us. It's not just one or the other. So if we all work real hard to be good, people would recognize us here.
Right. I feel like everyone approaches things that have to do with entertainment, specifically in Connecticut, with a defeatist attitude. Yep. When it comes to fashion, music, comedy, whatever the fuck, art, whatever the fuck, they feel like because we're Connecticut, we're so small, we're smashed in between like Massachusetts and New York. You got, the tri-state New Jersey and shit. Everyone feels like they can't prosper here, or they have to emulate somebody from somewhere else in order to get popping here, and then they'll fuck around and just move somewhere else just so they can say, oh, I'm from Connecticut, like, but I live in Atlanta now. I moved to LA or whatever the fuck. It's very sad and disheartening to see people cultivate stuff here and then just go somewhere else. Just like, I can't do it in Connecticut.
Well, and it's because of that stigma that we put on it. Like, whenever I perform somewhere else, somebody will go, oh, this comic, this next comic, he's from Connecticut. And at the very beginning, I was like, why are they saying it? Why can't they say I'm a comedian? Like, or he's a local guy, whatever. But now I'm like, yeah, I'm from Connecticut. That is good. Like, there's a contest at the comedy club at Mohegan Sun called Comics. They've been doing it for like 13 years now. It's called Last Comics Standing. They stole the name.
They stole it.
The X is on there.
Yeah.
When I won that. So when people say that, they always go, oh, you won Last Comic? I'm like, oh, put the X on it.
Yeah.
Don't get me sued. It's like, I did not win that one, but I did win that one year. And now they've done it like 13 years. I'm the only winner from Connecticut ever.
From Connecticut.
Yep, everyone else is
from
anywhere in New England or New York or New Jersey. Comics, they get 200 comics every time they do it every year that go in it, and then one winner out of the 13 years. I'm the only person from Connecticut to win that thing. I'm proud of that shit. But this year, when we had two local young guys in the semifinals, I was trying to give them advice, like, win. I don't want just me.
Yeah.
Because when I go other places, they go, oh, if another comic goes out of Connecticut in like Rhode Island or New Hampshire and shit like that, they'll message me and go, yeah, the guy's like, oh, do you know Pat Oates? Because if you do comedy in Connecticut, you must know that's the guy. And it's just like, well, why am I just the guy? There's a lot of funny guys.
There's a lot of funny guys.
Because the other guys don't say they're from Connecticut. They're
Really?
they're like, I'm not gonna. It's the person who's like afraid of saying they're from New Haven and pretends they're living in Mount Carmel.
Get the fuck out
It's
of
like, you know, but it's like it's all perception. It's the same reason why a comic moves to New York just to get a PO box.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, you ain't funny. You're from Chicago. Like you moved there because you thought that was better. But why not just be really good in Chicago, or at least say I'm from Chicago and live in New York?
That's fucking insane to me. I don't give a fuck if you're from a hole in a wall. You rep that hole.
Right.
All right.
But be funny in the hole.
Yeah, be funny in the hole.
That's the problem. They think that the location of the hole is what's going to make them funny. It's like, it's the hole, motherfucker. It's like, are you baby Jessica in the well? You going to get out of this shit?
Right.
It's a deep cut, sorry, with a lot of people. She's the most famous well baby.
Yeah. Now, like I said, if you guys don't know on this platform, I did start doing stand-up comedy, like I said, in July, and I did take a comedy class. Now, Pat Oates was one of the teachers.
I was a fill-in. I was a
fill-in.
I brought videos that day.
Yeah, that whatever. I don't know what you want to call him, but he was there to like to judge and give us advice. He was like the only one that actually gave me advice that I can actually use. You know, I took that class for basically two reasons. Where it was like, I'm gonna get connections if I go here, and then I know I'm not gonna learn shit, but I'm gonna get a laugh out of like what happens in this class. So I know that when I went, I was gonna gain something, but then I didn't know about the showcase at the end. So that basically got me off my ass to be like, all right, stop being pussy and go up on stage and do what the fuck you've been wanting to do since you was 10 years old. So I went ahead and did that. Pat Oates was here. Like I said, he gave me the more advice that I can use, I want to say, because I didn't really learn shit.
Comedy school itself, I've taught a couple of them because people have asked me to do it, and I always say the same thing when it starts. I don't believe in comedy class.
I've heard Bill Burr say that. I've heard endless comedians say, do not take a comedy class. It's a waste of your time.
See, I don't believe that part. I don't believe in it, but I don't think it's a waste of your time if you don't know how to get off your ass.
Right.
We all have different ways. There are some people who one day can just say, I want to try comedy. I will go to an open mic.
I appreciate the class, though.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. If it gets you, sometimes you don't know what to do. Like, you don't know how to start. It's an underground. It's like music and everything else.
Yeah.
You don't realize how many of these dumb restaurants all over Connecticut is comedy nights.
Right,
you know, and that's there. You don't know that until you get involved in this fight club we have of comedy where it's all underground shit. So if the only way you can get off your ass is to go, I'm going to sign up for a school, and then hopefully they'll push me in the right direction. My problem with comedy classes is that it's usually a money grab, and they're trying to just tell you to get ready for their showcase they're going to do, not teach you how to learn how to become a good comic, and just try to tell you you're a comic, now go do these other showcases and now learn how to write a script and dumb shit you won't need. It's like, when I was there, all I like to teach is, I want to teach you how to understand how open mics work, because that's where you should be next.
Yeah, right.
Go in there, then figuring shit out, watching people at your level. When they're like, "Oh, go watch Bill Burr," it's like, yeah, for entertainment.
Yeah, you watch the shit, but what are you?
You should be watching a dude who's hosting the open mic. That's your next step up.
Yeah,
that's the dude you should learn. What's he doing? What's his hustle? Watch how other people write jokes and create things, and pick from all that. Like if you play a sport, you watch all kinds of athletes play to find the way you play. You know what I mean? Like you might enjoy Jordan, but maybe you don't have the build and the skills. So why would you try to be like Jordan?
Exactly.
Play like Stockton. You're gonna be all right. You know what I mean? That's where you got to go. I like to watch different people and how they work and how they create and how they do things. I love to watch comics do things I can't do. So I love being around comedy school for that same reason and seeing that. I know two of the comics that were running that thing, and one of them goes on cruise ships. Andrew Kennedy, very funny comic. But we're like night and day different. Mott's too. Mott's is like the local guy who started real late in life.
It's another reason I signed up, because I knew Mott's from work. And
you were a mailman?
Yeah, I was a mailman. Cool. Yeah, so I still am. So I went down to the comedy club. Like that was like my introduction. So once I found out that Stress Factory was doing open mics, I would go down there and just watch the open mics. I was like, oh, one day I want to get up there. So, but like I said, the class was the push to get on stage. Right. Me just watching like everybody, just seeing how they perform, you know, stage presence and all that shit. But then I saw Mott's. He was like, oh, I do this class. I was like, I know you from work. I was like, all right, I'll sign up just to see what you about, because like I've heard through the grapevine that Mott's was funny, but I've never like seen him in action. So I was like, all right, let me go to the class, see what he's about, see what he can teach me, this, that, and the third. And that's.
Have you ever seen him do a show?
Yeah, I went to a show. He probably like a month ago. Yamanika Saunders was here. And
Yamanika is a beast.
She's
she's the best.
Funny.
She's the sweetest lady. She still mentions about my kids all the time, asking about, she was my grandbaby. She yells all the time.
So he opened up for her. It was Matt Lopes, Mott's, and then Yamanika, and then I watched that show.
Mott's must have felt thin.
Yeah. Mott's did his thing. I was like, I'm kind of surprised. Like I didn't know that this type of thing was like within arm's reach of me. So, it was good to see him, first of all, do the comedy class and then actually see him in action. I was like, I didn't fucking know, because, you go to work, I don't really talk to nobody at work. I just do my job and go to fuck home. I just do enough to not get fired.
Right.
So I just go to fuck home. Then I was like, oh, Moss is actually funny. He's an actual comedian. Like, he does.
But it is crazy when you learn there's another side to a person.
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing. Like Mott's it seems like reserved, like an older. Oh, he's a grandpa, whatever.
Yeah.
Dude's crowd work is fierce, and like he's a bulldog. The jokes are the jokes. Like it's a more older school thing. They're little stories, whatever. They usually have an ending that you can predict.
Right.
And I'm not shitting on him. That's just his style. But when he does that crowd work thing, he can get on you. He can say his observations are great. It's fun to watch someone enjoy. He seems like we were talking about before. He's someone that lives a reserved life, but he's allowed to be what he wants to be
what
on
he wants
stage.
to be, yeah.
So I like people like that. I'm the same person both on stage and off, because I don't have a character thing. Like that's just who I am.
That's just who you are.
Right. But like I do appreciate when I watch someone come out of their inhibition, you know what I mean, and enjoy being able to be something. But when he was teaching class, and so was Andrew, it's kind of like, well, that's weird. I don't know if I want to learn from them. But then I was like, oh, you can learn from all aspects.
Yeah.
But I just, when I got and helped, when I was asked to fill in, and there was that third lady, and she's a lady. And then, like, I don't know, we butted heads because she just wanted everybody to, she was a writer. And I'm not talking about bad. It was nice enough for her to do it. But, like, when they had me come on, she's like, well, why aren't we teaching them how to help their jokes out? They have a show in 2 weeks. Why are we worried about having some person come in from New York to scout them? That doesn't make any sense. That's a ripoff. No one's getting scouted. They got plenty of comics in New York. They ain't looking at an open mic comedy class in Bridgeport.
Right.
If you believe that shit, you're crazy.
Right.
But I was just like, I watched you guys tell jokes, and my whole goal was just to be like, all right, let's make that so it makes more sense to everybody. Take this line, move that. You do your own writing. I hated when they would chime in like, no, say this line. That was the first time I had heard you on stage. Mott told you did a joke about Juneteenth.
Yeah.
And Mott went to comment something. I looked at him and said, don't you dare. As two bald white men, you shut your mouth with Juneteenth. You do not help in any way. You let him do. I will help the structure part of it later.
Right.
We don't make suggestions.
Yeah. But it was refreshing, like I said, I hate my job, so I can't wait to get home and actually do what the fuck I want to do, which is actually start to write. So when I actually got into this comedy class, I was like, start to write, but everything wasn't fleshed out the way I wanted to be. I'm a perfectionist in my head, so when I wanted to present it to the class or like tell my jokes on stage, everything wasn't fleshed out. So for him to give me comments on my jokes, I was like, it's not. Like, I'm not done with this. Right. Like, it's just like the bare bones of this shit. Like, it's just like a fleeting thought that happened while I was at work, and I wrote it down, and then like it was half I made it up on stage and half I wrote some of the shit, but it's still not fleshed out to the way I want it to be. So for him to give me feedback on it, I was like, I'm just not, like, if it was like a complete joke, if I was like 90% done and you say, hey, this ain't working, insert this, take this out, change this word, whatever the fuck, it'd have been helpful. But now I'm like, I don't like your criticism. That's my problem with comedy class. Yeah. Because comedy class is getting you ready for a showcase at the end for all your family and friends to come watch. Yeah. So the comedy teachers are kind of preparing you for this class. But I've always had the mentality of no show matters. When someone says, do you have a big show? Like, there's no big show. I don't care if it's an open mic or I'm in a theater. The next day, I'm still me. It's the growth of me as a comic. So I'll work on things whenever, but I'm the same. I'll take advice. I'll listen to advice. If someone wants to give me like, here's a tag for this, thank you. Because I used to get mad at that and be like, hey, I'm not ready yet. I'm working on this. But now I go, oh, if they're commenting, at least what I'm saying is resonating. So they paid attention. It's that when you watch a comic not get any advice, it's mean you're just talking shit. You're just saying bullshit that nobody's connecting to. So therefore, when I say something, someone goes, oh, you should try this. I'm not going to try what they said. I know what I'm doing, and I'm going to keep working on it to make it my voice. But I know that what I said was polarizing enough to get their attention to want to help. So I'm like, I'm on the right path. If someone's not commenting, then I got to really work on changing what I'm talking about. So I like that part. But I don't do that. I go up and instead be like, hey, you should move this part to the end. Yeah. Because that makes more sense. Or like when you're saying that, maybe take a pause here. I'm more about like how it's delivered. It's your thoughts. Right, yeah. So I don't like fucking with people's thoughts on, unless it's just like, hey, you're racist. Maybe you shouldn't try molesting a child at the beginning of your set. Do it at the end. You know what I mean? Surprise them. Yeah, Ryan, just don't do that. Yeah, come on, man. Even that kid's like, can I get molested by a better comic? Like, it's like, why do I got molested by a hack comic? Oh, jeez. Now you've been doing comedy since you were about 6 years old. When did stand-up actually come into the picture? 15 years ago. 15 years ago. So you've been doing comedy. So you've been doing stand up for 15 years now. You said that it happened on a dare from a friend.
Well, not dare.
What?
He just lied to me. Like, so I've known him since college, and then we stayed friends for a little while, and then one day he just wanted to like hang out. He's been pushing me to do comedy. Everyone has. When I was in college, I was the funny dumb guy, whatever. High school was the funny. People always said you should do comedy. A, I didn't know how it started, and B, it just sounded dumb.
But why didn't you? Like,
it didn't sound like a thing.
Okay.
It just didn't make sense. I liked it. I would watch comedy. I enjoyed it. But it didn't make sense to me that I would now just go, because like I said, I didn't know about open mics or things. I'm like, so I'm just gonna go to a comedy club. And tell jokes. I don't know. I'd rather just have fun and do whatever. I had little kids, that were just born and all this. So I'm just like, I don't know, it's not a thing, but my buddy just kept saying, you should try it. It's crazy that you're not trying it. All you do, your reactions to everything is humor. My crutch is humor. If someone dies, I use jokes. If someone's sad, I use jokes. If everything I do that to the point where people are like, oh, turn that shit off. I'm like, I can't turn me off.
Yeah, right.
I don't mean to do this shit. So he said to me, hey, let's go hang out at there's a place in Naugatuck, this bar, it's not existing anymore, and they're having a comedy contest. We should go have some beers and laugh at that. I didn't know he signed me up. So we went. And we go there, and there's 3 contestants. First of all, there's the judges are the owner, the owner's father, and a girl they're both trying to fuck. And they're sitting at a table.
Probably a bartender or some shit.
Yeah. Well, actually, I think she was auditioning for a job of bartender, which, by the way, ladies out there, there's no audition of bartender.
No,
just run.
Yeah.
So it's like, especially in Naugatuck, you should just be, you have all your teeth. That's how you get the job.
Just know how to make a screwdriver and like pour and like bring beer.
Or know the difference between a screwdriver, the tool, and the ring, and then you're fine. But like, so they had a table set up American Idol style, and the 3 of them were sitting on the stage, and the comic performed in front of them, so, which is already weird.
Yeah.
There was 3 comics. There was I say comics loosely. There was a guy who had just lost his job, and he was telling everybody that he needed this $100 prize just to give to his landlord for something. He was in trouble. And then there was a magician who was going to do comedy magic in a bar at 10 at night, which is not going to go good.
No.
And then the third one was actually a fry cook, who they were going to give 5 minutes off so he could tell jokes like SpongeBob and shit. And then so I'm like, this is going to be good. So we're watching. First dude goes up. He's doing impressions, but they're so bad he has to tell you who he's doing.
Oh God.
He looks around and goes, I get no respect. And he's paused and goes, Rodney Dangerfield. Yeah. and I was just like, yeah. I'm the only one. Like, I'm being an asshole, but I'm just clapping like, this guy's great. This guy's amazing.
Rodney,
he's so good. He's like, I can't tell a lie. I'm like, come on, be OJ. He's like, nah, George Washington. I'm like, all right. So then the magician goes up. People are just yelling at him. They're heckling him. He's doing sleight of hand shit. And then all of a sudden he gets mad. He grabs his deck of cards. He guns it at a guy and goes, 52 card pickup, motherfucker, and walks off. I'm clapping. I'm like, this is the greatest show. I'm so happy we came. Then they had to take a 5-minute break because too many people were ordering chicken tenders.
So the cook had
to take a break. And they had someone cover for him. So he came out. He was the funniest one. He had like fry cook jokes, but they weren't bad. Like he was like kept making jokes that he poisoned everyone's food, which was a little fucked up, but whatever. Then they go, we have one more contestant, and they go, Pat Oates. And I look at my buddy. He goes, you got this. So I just walked up. If anyone's familiar with Naugatuck, Connecticut, and especially Route 8, there's a smell on Route 8 that's very weird. So I made fun of that. I said, I think there's a yeast infection factory. I said something to that effect. I turned around. I made fun of the threesome thing going on behind us and how creepy that was and how that girl should blink twice. She needs help. I made fun of the 3 comics, and I won $100. I was better than the other 3. So afterwards, my buddy goes, you're better than 3 people. That's a start. Go figure this shit out. So I went home, and this is how old I am. I went home and went on MySpace, and I searched comedians in my 15-mile radius. And I was living in Simsbury, Connecticut at the time. So I found a comic named Linda Bell who still does it sometimes. She's in West Hartford. And so I messaged her and said, I'm sorry, and I don't know you, but like, how do you get into comedy? And she's like, well, there's an open mic that's happening in Hartford tomorrow. Just go to that. And there's a comic, I'm still friends with this guy, Darren Rivero, who headlines all over. He was a bartender at that bar at the time and the host of the mic. And a bunch of comics who now are made it pretty big, like Marshall Brandon and Jackson and John Moses and stuff, and younger guys too. We're all at this mic, and I just watching all people working on shit. I went up, I had no jokes. I just did a contest. So I went up and I just did crowd work for 5 minutes. This one comic grabs me and says, hey, you were focused a lot on the people not laughing. Don't do that. Focus on the people that are laughing, and then it's called moth to a flame. Watch all the other people come into that instead of you worried about the ones not laughing. Make it special so everyone looks in. And I was like, well, that's wonderful advice. That's nice that you just came up to me. So the next mic he saw me at, I did that, and he's like, all right, well, I'll help you forever now. I go, what? He goes, I help people all the time when they first start, and most of them tell me to fuck off.
Right.
And then I don't. And this dude now, he's been doing comedy for years. He was opening for he opened for Sam Kinison. I didn't know who he was. He's a guy named Rodney Norman who now is viral on TikTok and all that shit. He does that old man with the gray beard that does like a philosopher thing. It's like 6 million views. He just goes up and goes, "Hey, your life is weird," and shit. Like he's memes and everything.
I'll look it up.
He's from Utah and he's from Connecticut, half and half. But this dude just for no reason grabbed me and was like, "Here's some advice that I just took." So not only did I learn by doing the open mic, I can start doing comedy. But I was like, oh, there's good people in it too. There's people that care and people that don't. And I learned that right away. My second open mic, a guy walks up to me and goes, "Hey, are you available this Saturday?" I'm like, "For what?" And he's like, "Well, to host my comedy show." I go, "I've done comedy twice.
Right.
I don't have one joke."
Right.
He goes, "Yeah, but you talk a lot and you don't stop talking. And I don't like hosting. I like headlining my shows. I'm a headliner."
Right.
I'm not a headliner. But he goes, "But I'd like someone just to talk. I'll pay you $50 if you do 15 minutes. I go, "I don't have a joke." And he goes, "I'll see you Saturday." I'm like, "Sure." So I went there, and it was him and another person who both thought they were co-headlining. It was a host and no feature. Just two co-headline, which is like one of you's last, one of you's not last.
Yeah, one of you's not the headliner.
Right? Neither of you. We're at a bar in Meriden called Writers, where it's you have one tooth, you're the prom queen. So I did 15 minutes, and then the other girl, the woman on the show said, "Oh, I have a show next week. Can you host that?" I go, "I don't have any jokes." But every week, because I grew up in a time where everybody thought they were a headliner and nobody wanted to host. Everyone just heard I was a host. So my first 3 weeks, I was getting paid spots, but just being allowed to touch a mic and figure shit out. Now I was going to mics too, but quickly I was able to get more reps than most people would, and was able to at least try to figure out how to get 5 minutes together. So I was like, ooh, I like this. So that where the addiction came in. After I think if I didn't get those spots quick, I might not have been as addicted. But then that's when my marriage started to fade. I'm like, oh, I like comedy more than you.
Oh shit.
It really was because I chose this thing. So that's where the sting. That's where it became like, oh, I fit here. Because here I'm respected. Everyone else I'm told, be quiet, stop being this, stop being that. Here they're like, oh, you have superpowers. You can just make fun of people real quick.
Right.
That shit that got me called immature and didn't get me laid in high school. Now people are like, ooh, look, he's so funny.
Right.
So that's where all of a sudden that came in. I guess I was always a comic, but I didn't know how to do it. But if my boy didn't trick me, I wouldn't have never done it.
Right. Now, do you think all that validation early on gave you a complex?
No, because I never liked me. Just the last 6 years of my life, I liked me. I did comedy. I always felt imposter.
Okay.
And
so you felt like you didn't belong?
Yeah, I not only didn't belong, but there was always an excuse for why I got stuff.
Okay.
And I think that also happened from that beginning of, well, we just don't want to do it. Why am I hosting? No one else wants to. You're not good. We just don't want to. But then also, I was drinking then. I don't drink anymore. And I don't add that to it, but I have clinical depression. I have all that kind of stuff.
Sit here drinking in front of you.
No, I don't care. I do shows all the time. I mean, I like people that I want everyone to do their own thing. Yeah. I don't miss it. I never liked the taste of alcohol. I like the results of it.
It's a coping mechanism.
It made me feel like if I drank, then people liked me. And it masked this thing. I didn't like me, and I kept people around me who didn't like me either. And I started dating people that were just people negative to me and stuff like that. And then one day I was like, ooh, I was dating this girl, and she was just mean. I go, oh, you're mean.
You're right.
And I was just like, ooh, I don't like this anymore. I quit drinking. And I just quit that day. I have not drank since. Turkey. I didn't go to meet. No, yep, exactly. Just said no and please leave.
Congrats.
And that was it. Yeah. But and now because of that, I started writing more instead of just doing crowd work. I started believing what I was doing. But I never had a complex because I worked at comedy clubs. I was a house comic at two places. I was a general manager and had the book places too. I learned both sides. So everyone always hated me because I wasn't giving them opportunities. So I always had that no one likes me mentality. Now I learned later they did. I just didn't like me. So I didn't have time to have a complex. I was too busy feeling bad about me.
Right. It sounds like that comedy ruined your life but saved your life.
I was going to ruin it regardless, but I'm having more fun.
Like your marriage, personal relationships, but then you found comedy. It was like I found like a second wind.
Yes, but if I let comedy get in the way of the marriage, I was going to let anything get in the way of the marriage. I can't blame the comedy.
You can't blame the comedy.
I was going to get out.
It was already failing beforehand. It was just like this.
I wasn't.
Now I got something to blame it on.
Right, because my dad, when he left, I didn't want to be my dad and leave my kids.
Right.
So I said, well, I got to stay in this marriage. I wasn't happy for a while. And then she was off, getting her master's and doing dumb shit, whatever. And she got master's in, like, making dirt. Like, I don't even know.
Master's doing dumb shit.
Yeah, it was dumb. She's an earthbender, whatever. She makes clay. I'm like, what the fuck, yo? And then she got mad. I did jokes. I'm like, at least people want the joke. I don't want mashed potatoes out of that bowl you made. But like, so I got out of there, but I made sure that I was around my kids every day. You know what I mean? So like, I was gonna not be my dad in that regard, but like, I'm happier now. They're happier now. They wouldn't have had as happy a life, because if I was miserable, I probably would have been miserable around them. You know what I mean? Because I wasn't happy or being myself when I was there. I love my kids, but I did not like her. So like, comedy taught me that I don't have to give a shit about what people think about me, because as long as I'm being me, weirdly enough, people are rewarding it with money and stuff.
Right. I mean,
so like, a lot of times you feel like you have to be phony. It's like, oh, being phony didn't get me the shit I wanted. Now saying whatever I want, they're like, ooh, this guy he has no filter. He's brutally honest. Like, no, I'm just talking. Like,
right.
I'm not worried about you, fat lady from
what's in my head and saying my thoughts, and they happen to be controversial. So be it. I don't give a fuck.
They're only controversial you because you're dumb. Like, what's the controversy? I just said you're fat, lady.
Just said some obvious shit, right?
Yeah, you have no neck. I didn't lie.
Now, ultimately, do you feel like it was worth it? Like, marriage,
yes,
everything you went through.
Yes.
Now, do you think the kids understand it now because they're older, or because like you had a like they actually saw daddy, like
they came to almost every show?
Okay.
Like, they literally, at ages like 8 and 6, they were at the casino sitting in the, like, you talk about Yamanika, they would sit in the green room when I opened for Yamanika and hang out with her and take pictures, and then they would sit in the back. I did a show one time at the casino, and my a guy opening for me said something crazy, and people noticed my son, like 10 years old, in the audience, and you heard the people going, there's a boy there. Right. And so the opening act goes, that's fucking Seamus. Seamus, what joke you want to hear? He goes, do that one where you skull fuck Olaf from the Frozen. And the guy goes, yeah, that joke. And the old guy's like, what the fuck? My son's laughing because he was just allowed to be around that shit. They saw their dad having fun, but I made sure they were part of everything I was doing. Anywhere where they would let me, I got put up or in a hotel, whatever, they were coming for the weekends with me. I wasn't not being with them. They were on the adventure. It was about them. My jokes were that. So they saw me having fun, but also got to be part of the experience, not just hearing about it. Not the dad who left to go chase a dream but didn't bring the kids with him. I did both. So they loved that part. They know everything about that. Like, my daughter still, when I host that shitty bringer show they have at the casino, these morons go up, my daughter and her friends will come to that late show to watch people fail. That's their favorite thing. Like, old men chasing a dream but failing miserably in front of their family and friends is their favorite thing.
I used to love that Stress Factor. That's one of the reasons I went. I want to see people bum. I thought that shit was hilarious to me.
It's so good. Especially when they go up with confidence too. Yeah. And they're just believe, and they think they wrote a joke, but it's like, I just read that meme. Like, nothing. Oh, it's so bad. And then when I host those things, I say that after I go up there, I go, ooh, that's bad. Right. You're not. And I point, where's your family? Like, ooh, you should just go home separately. Don't be proud of that.
They're gonna kill you in the car.
That's not good. That's not good.
Now, did you consciously bring them, or you had no choice but to bring them to the comp? Oh, consciously. Okay.
They had choices. Like, I was either always dating people, or my mom was around at the time, so like they could hang with her. My mom would come to the shows sometimes too when they have everybody there. They could come hang or just do whatever. They wanted to go, and I wanted them there. Like I said, I also am not like this person that's super social afterwards. Right. So I would rather hang out with. I love my kids. I'd rather hang out with them afterward. I would prefer. There was times where I'd have a later show when we were at Foxwoods, and I would do the show. And they go to the first one. Then the second one, they go with my mom, and they go up to the hotel. And then, like, I would go get them while my mom fell asleep after that, so we can go down to the courtyard and watch drunk people fight. So my kids love that part. They're like, little kid, we're sitting there, they're getting pizza, and they're just watching drunk people where women hold their shoes falling down, men trying to fight over a woman, and the kids are like, this is the best, like, because their dad would let them come down and watch that shit, because it's great that we would have the experience and have fun.
Now, have they caught the bug at all? Do they want to do comedy at all?
My daughter might be the funniest person I've ever met. And I know parents say that, but like, I have other comedy friends who like are happy when they make her laugh, or when she cracks jokes. She's just quick. She would never want to go on stage, but she's been around them. It's just not her. She's just naturally funny. And my son is a funny, goofy guy. She's more like a sniper, and he's just goofy and fun. All our talks are always about comedy, and they like watching stand up and stuff like that. But they would never do it. My son wants to be a chef. My daughter wants to be a teacher. That's things they want to do. But they use comedy and humor in their shit. You know what I mean?
Every teacher I fucking met doesn't want to be a teacher anymore. Like every teacher I met, like they went to school, they thought, what the illusion of what they thought school was, and then they actually get into school and see how bad these kids are, curriculum, homework. I never have any free time, and then it's like they're 3 years in, and they just like, why the fuck did I go to school for this? So.
Well, I think they do that because they went to school, didn't know what to really be, and now they're like, I got to be something. And people were like, being a teacher or being a troop, that's the two T words that you're supposed to respect, right. But you can be an asshole at both. But if you say it, people go, oh, good for you. Mm-hmm. You did it. But my daughter right now is like, she wants to teach younger kids and like that, but she doesn't want to always do that. Right. I think she's thinking about more like social work later on. But right now, would just kind of like to enjoy things but still figure shit out, but you can make some money by being a teacher's aide or do whatever while you're figuring shit out.
Okay. So when's the last time that you had a full-time job?
During COVID.
Really?
Yeah. When COVID happened, all my schedule went away. My last show was the last weekend of March.
You ain't do the online Zoom shows like everybody else?
Fuck that shit. I can't do that.
That shit's weird.
I can't do that shit at all. A buddy of mine did one, and he's a good comic out of Connecticut named Howie Mason. And he was telling me, so you see all the audience there, and he's doing his jokes, and there's an old lady in one of the screens, and she's watching, and as in the middle of his act, she just gets up like she's not enjoying herself. And he watches her walk to the kitchen, and you can see her in the kitchen. She's getting ice cream, and then she gets a bowl, and then she sits on a couch on the other side of the room and watches TV with the Zoom still on and finishes the ice cream till he's done, and then comes back. He's like, I would rather just bomb in front of people than watch a lady ignore me for a thing she paid for and just leave the camera on and watch TV in the other side of the room.
Wow. Now, what job did you have during COVID? Because a lot of shit was shut down.
So, this half my act right now, my newest hour is about this, but like my buddy's like, hey, I have a friend that manages a retail store. Okay. So I took a job at Big Lots.
Oh, okay.
And I do a lot of, and I got fired from that show because job because they said I was talking about it on air and a podcast, and I wasn't supposed to. And I did.
A fucking job at Big Lots? It's not a fucking corporation. I mean, it's corporate. It's not like a fucking.
The stuff I talked about the podcast got sent to the CEO. Oh. So I got 38 views that week. But it was just like, listen, I know there was somebody in my life, I'm not sure exactly who, but I have a feeling that wanted to get me in trouble because there's no way someone would find out I was a comedian and also assistant manager at the Derby Big Lots and put the two and two together, find a YouTube, then go to. It was a blessing. Like the divorce and everything else, I was missing comedy. For about a year, I was like, oh, I'm paying bills regularly. I have a regular job, but I couldn't do comedy much because it's weekends, it's retail. You can't do shit. So I was doing a Thursday show here and there, and I was missing out on other stuff. But like, I was like, oh, I've done it for a while, but maybe now it's time to do something like this. But I missed it. I missed the comedy thing. So losing the job in May propelled me into get back into this shit again. I was still performing, but not at the level. Before that, I mean, I was, if with a year of 365 days, I was on stage 300 days a year. And I was going now, I was probably doing it once a month, twice a month, and I was missing everything. So that was the last full-time job I had. The one before that, I actually was running a comedy club in New Haven. It's not around anymore, Joker's Wild, but I was their house comic and running it. I wanted
to perform at that fucking club so bad.
Because
I heard so many stories about it.
On my way here, this is going to sound like a weird way to do it. I live like 10 minutes away, so I was walking up the hill, a car stops. And it's the old owner of there who goes, Pat, what the fuck? Because she's from like Branford. Yeah. And she just goes, do you need a ride? I'm like, no, I'm literally going up the street. Right. And we just talked about how she just sold the building after a long time being there, whatever. But that place was a nightmare. That was.
I heard.
If I ever write a book, I gotta make sure everyone's dead. But like, I mean, it was a laundering for money. It was I signed all the checks, but I told everyone I can't know anything or I'd be in trouble, and they respected that. But one of the owner who passed away, the husband, he was the leader of a biker gang, but also his family's connected to the mafia. Yeah. So he would go up and down Worcester Street, or the Pizza Street in New Haven, and he would walk up to each business. Now, if there was a younger, like hip coffee shop, he'd go to them dressed like a biker. And he would say, hey, listen, the mob is trying to come here and fuck with some shit. If you pay me $100 a week, we'll protect you from the mob. And then he would change into a suit, go to the Sally's and be like, I'll stop the biker gang. And I knew that because he had the waitress checkbooks. Yeah. He would write the names of that with the money next to it and then pay me that amount of cash. I'm like, you don't pay me in the extortion. Pay me.
Oh man, I fucking miss back in the day. Like, I wanted to be around for certain shit, man. I just wish I was, I was born in a different time.
But the dope thing about that place was they wanted it not to work. It couldn't work. It had to fail because of the way. So they gave me no advertising, whatever. Now I'm performing a lot all over Boston and New York and becoming friends with these people. So like that are really good comics, but they're not known yet. So I'm booking them just to put on good comedy. But it's crazy the lineups I got if you look at it now. Like there was one month where I had Mark Norman, then Sam Morrill, then Joe List, and then Rachel Feinstein, who all have Comedy Central specials and big specials. Yeah. But they were just comics I knew in that area that would come down from New York, take the train. I'd let them headline. Like Louis J. Gomez from Legion of Skanks, his first time ever headlining was at Joker's Wild. We did a Legion of Skanks live from their back room. I had Godfrey there. I had Godfrey, you come on a Thursday, I can throw you a little bit more money than I can normally throw somebody when you come do one show. We couldn't advertise it, so we had to hope word of mouth told people. Right. But then all of a sudden my boss comes up to me and goes, "Hey man, cut the shit, you're making money." I'm like, well, I'm trying not to, but he's like, you're getting
too loud.
The shows are getting too good, and I'm getting too many good comics to come here. But I also let young comics who weren't ready yet open for these guys. Like, you don't even have 20, I don't care, go ahead. I can't afford a feature, so you go ahead and do it. So if you were a young comic, did the mics, you were going to grow through there. You were going to start off open mic, you were going to end up featuring, possibly headlining. And then I would get guys that I knew before they got too big to be there too.
Okay. So now that you've been doing comedy for 15 years, do you feel like you're in the space that you're supposed to be in? Because we mentioned the comics earlier that, they just do their same set from 8 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever. Do you feel like you should be further along in your career? You should be touring. You should be out of New England. You should be other places. Are you happy and content of where you are right now?
Yes to both.
Okay.
I do believe I'm good enough to do those things. I do know that it was choices or lack of doing certain things that didn't get me there. I'm never the guy to blame other people or others. It wasn't like because someone didn't do this for me or that for me. Maybe I could have networked better. Maybe I could have done this and that, whatever. But I think in reality, everything always held me back. I didn't want to leave my kids. And I know it's not an excuse. It's not their fault. I chose that. My kids would have been fine because I would have, if I was traveling, I would have taken them with me. We're on a plane now. We're going. So it wouldn't have mattered. It was that kind of like, I like being here. But now, after working that retail job for a year and kind of missing it, I'm very proud of being able to help out comedy around here and try to build something around here, but also being able to perform everything I'm doing. I'm being respected as like, you've heard it there, and believe me, it makes me feel old, but when someone's like, oh, it's the legend, it's the OG, it's all that. Again, I'm like, I know I'm older than you guys, but I also appreciate that they don't know who I am. It's weird that they do.
But does it make you feel weird, like you hit your ceiling, like you can't get no bigger than being the OG and legend in Connecticut or in the New England area?
Why do I want to be bigger than the biggest thing?
I mean, because,
I'm them. I'm listen.
Yeah, you could be the shit here, but
it's cool to me.
Okay, as long as that's cool to you.
I grew up listening to a dude named Billy Wynn, who was a comic, and he'd be on all the radio stations. He'd be like the comic that would sit in all the time. I'd be in the car, and like, Billy Wynn's gonna be performing in some bar in Cheshire. To me, I was like, oh, that's cool. He's on the radio. I'm the dude on the radio now. Like, I grew up listening to that. Now I'm the guy who's the guest on there and does those things, and I'm the guy that young comics want to work with. And I opened for him, and he opened for Jim Jeffries in a theater, and he did this and that. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm gonna be recording an album, and this will be the first one that someone else is putting money into. I had to do the first two myself. Now someone else is actually believing in what I'm doing, and is that cool? Hell yeah, I like that. But if it doesn't get me thinking any more than recording it, I don't know. I've kind of been the last 6 years living my life saying my whole goal in life is to make my obituary cooler.
Right.
Like, that's it. Like, I've written a book. I've been on radio. I've done podcasts. I was on a TV show where I pretend my mom was dead for $50.
Yeah.
Like, go watch.
Talk about that too.
Yeah, go watch Extreme Cheesecake. Like, I've done some silly, crazy shit. I'm like Forrest Gump. So, like, you might say I'm not Chris Rock, but like, to me, I've done so much shit. If I go talk to dudes I know from high school, they're all bragging they know me.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm happy. I get to do fun shit. I don't work during the day. So when you're like, hey, can we sit and there's nothing more fun than this.
Yeah.
Just talking shit about having fun.
I can't wait until I get to that fucking point.
Where you just have a good time. You'll get there.
I fucking can't wait, yo.
You'll get there, or you'll find a way to do it.
I'm trying.
Right, and that's the whole thing. Some guys don't get the freedom of that certain thing, but you find a way to find that avenue. As long as you just don't ever, like, I knew comics that told themselves they had to perform at the Comedy Cellar, or they had to be on Comedy Central, and they got so focused on one thing, they missed other doors and avenues.
Right.
Like, I found other shit by mistake. cake.
Right.
Like, I got to be on the radio because I was hired to roast a radio personality at a thing, and I did so well. They're like, "Oh, can you come on the radio show in the morning as guest?" And they never had me on before. I went on. They liked me. I was a guest every month, and then I started liking being on the radio. So I turned to the general manager who was there, and I go, "How the hell do you get into radio?"
Right.
He goes, "Well, we'd like to start getting people like you because we'd rather teach you radio rather than teach personality. So go ahead." So I just started doing part-time. They just hired me a week later. And I just got hit, and people got mad at me, like, you just get shit? Like, well, no, you just, 90% of the things in the world, if you just ask, you'll get the shit. Most people just don't want to ask.
Yeah, I should have asked.
That's all I do. It's like, I would like to learn radio. Okay, you're not going to say much. That's fine. I want to learn radio.
Because I would love to be on radio. I've been on radio before as a guest. I would love to actually, like, host some shit and change the radio landscape in Connecticut.
Now that part's very hard because like now it's becoming
really not.
No, change landscape because the corporate involvement.
I mean, you're like corporate involvement. I'm just talking about personality wise. I'm just talking about
But right now, I when I'm on radio, I'm doing weekends and I'm getting 35 to 40 seconds 4 times an hour.
Right.
So I can be funny, but you're not. It's not about you. It's about playing the classic rock music and shit. But I'm doing that while still being a guest for an hour in the morning show where they know my comedy personality, and now both are combining. And now I'm trying to build this like resume for a year or two from now. I can say, hey, if someone out there is trying to do a morning show, I know how to do it. I can be entertaining. I know what I'm doing, but I also know the radio side of it too.
Right.
So I want to learn as much shit as possible. Like I like talking to people that do things different than me so I can learn new shit. Because why would I want to talk to people who do the same shit as me? I already learned that shit.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So like to me, I'm doing so much with my life that I know a lot of people. I know a lot of things. Like it was laughing the other day. Like my daughter was like, I made the joke. She comes to watch those shows. She doesn't pay to go to comedy shows at the Mohegan Sun. She just walks in because of her dad.
Because they know her.
Go watch a show. And that's cool to me. Like she was laughing. She goes, I've been in green rooms. I got pictures of comedians for no reason. And that's just who I am. The fact that when I have my birthday show is coming up, I just call up Chaz and AJ, the morning show around here, and I just go, can I come on tomorrow? And they're like, you're in.
Right.
I love the fact that I just have that ability. And if that's not making it to other people, I'm sorry, but I'm having a good ass time.
Yeah, I want to do that with my kids. Right now, it's just been like girls, like, hey, I know such and such. You can come here, like we good here. Like I want to do that with my actual kids one day.
Right.
It was like you could just walk in anywhere, like, oh, you fucking Dom's daughter. All right, cool. Fuck with that. Now, the television show. How did that opportunity come about?
I was working at Joker's Wild. The people that I didn't even know it was for. There was a show called Extreme Cheapskates, and it was on TLC. And the show was basically people do things on the extreme cheap, and they would try to make shit up, whatever. It's reality, but obviously everything is scripted and shit.
Right.
So I was running Joker's Wild. They had reached out to their producer, this guy Derek something, I forget his last name, but he reached out to us and said, hey, we would like to use your comedy club. We have this woman from Brand Fashion Shows, and what we want to do is we want to make a scenario where she does a fashion show at your open mic. So she takes the 5 minutes, she goes up and instead of telling jokes, starts putting on clothing and things and that kind of shit. And I'm like, well, that'd be kind of funny. But when they tried to like make it all work in the logistics, it couldn't work that night last second. But they still had camera crew and things, and they had to get something for this show. They still hadn't even told me it was for Extreme Cheesecake. They just said whatever. So that night they messaged me and said, and they had seen me perform before because they came to one of the mics to scout it out. And they said, now we're going to have a change of something. We're going to pretend like, we need someone who can pretend like their mother died, and she's gonna go. We're saying that she goes through the obituary. This woman doesn't do this, by the way. She has caught so much hate on YouTube because of this. There's the one thing she doesn't do. But there are people out there who do this. They go through the obituaries and they try to find women who had a lot of clothes. And if they died, they asked the sons, and they have any daughters to pass them on to for clothes. So they said, can you pretend your mom died? We rented a bed and breakfast in the Yale area of New Haven, Connecticut. They rented a bed and breakfast near the hockey rink in New Haven, and they were pretending it was my home. So they told me that night. So the next morning, I got high as shit, and then I walked over there because I'm like, I don't know what this is about. There's be no script. They go, we can't talk to each other. We can't do nothing.
Right.
We have to just. And so they had a camera follow this woman up to my door. They let us meet, but we couldn't talk to each other.
Okay.
And I had to just react, and she had to do her thing. Oh. So she came up to the door, and she was just like, she did her whole spiel, and then I just looked at the camera. I was like, "You want my dead mom's clothes?" and like I looked high as fuck. Everyone thought I was crying.
Right.
So everyone's like, "Wow, I had people say to me, you're such a great actor." I'm like, "Yeah, just get high as shit and pretend like your mom died." It's easy. Now they recorded this shit for like an hour, and we did so many scenes, but like they obviously used like 13 seconds.
Right.
But they were gonna send me the clips of things because I started making the camera crew laugh so hard at my shit.
Right.
That, like there was we're in this like room, and it's like this old ass living room, and there was a mantle. And there was a picture of an old ass woman, like it's like a black and white, like almost drawn picture of a woman. And next to it was a porcelain horse on the mantle. And the woman is trying to ad lib, and she looks at me and she goes, "Is that your mother?" And I went, "No, that's a horse." And the guy dropped his camera. He's like, "Yo, what the fuck?" Like, dude, I'm like, "Sorry, well, I'm just having fun with it, whatever." But like, we were just doing shit like that, and I was joking around. Like, I had to walk her upstairs, so I said, "Be careful on the railing." Me and mother used to slide down it, pretending we're in risky business. And she's like, "What the?" But they literally just used the clip for a couple of minutes. But when that came out, there used to be a show called E's Talk Soup. And that shows they would take reality clips all the time and make fun of it.
Right.
And they would also take from other shows and do it. They took my clip for like a week. Every time Kardashians did some dumb shit, or like somebody on Survivor did dumb, my face would pop up and go, "You want my dead mom's clothes?" So people would be hitting me up. So I got these 2 TV credits that were fucking crazy for no reason.
That's crazy.
This got on YouTube right now. It's got over 3 million views. It's got over 3,000 comments, and everybody, all the women are writing, "Leave this man alone. His mother died." And then once in a while you see someone write, "This isn't true. I saw him on stage. He tells jokes about it. This is a lie."
It's a lie.
And I'll write, "Fuck you. I'm trying to get laid."
Now, that didn't give you like the acting bug, the bug to be on television, the bug to actually write for others, nothing like that?
I am currently writing something with somebody. Someone just recently did that. I've never had that. I like just telling jokes. I like my shit. I don't like acting. I'm happy they let me just make shit up. I don't like saying other people's ideas. I'm too I couldn't do improv. I'm selfish.
Yeah.
So I don't like that kind of shit. I don't like being phony, or like look at me. I'm a doctor. I'm not a fucking doctor. I don't want to pretend to be a doctor.
You don't give a fuck about money. It seems like I like that.
No, I don't. I never had it. So
you can do it. You just don't.
I could pursue that thing.
Yeah.
But would I get mad if I didn't get it? I know with comedy, it's just 100% my control. Yes, there's managements and there's people like that, but for the most part, it's all in my control, and I can do what I want with it. But it's just like, yeah, the money part. Would it be nice to be able to not worry about shit? Sure, but I've never had one. I was raised poor. I've always been poor. When someone says, "Hey, if we create this thing and we get a third person," and someone said to me, like, "We have this thing, we each get 33%. Are you okay with that?" I'm like, well, I got 0% now.
Right.
And so I'm fine with giving up 66% of the thing that doesn't exist.
Right.
I know you're some idiot that thinks this is going to be the biggest. We're gonna write Seinfeld 2. It's probably not going to be nothing. I don't care. So I'd rather just have the experience of doing it, so I know how to do it. So if someone says you want to write something, I'm like, yeah, sure. And I go, well, I don't have like the app, and so I'm the kind of guy that will do that. And then someone believes in me. They're like, "You're funny." So the other day, someone just bought me Final Draft. They want me to write a thing for them. So I got a $200 program. Even if I never write anything, I got this program now. And I'm very happy to have it. You know, it's like, so I would rather just have fun exploring and doing things. And if something cool happens out of it, great. But I'm not going to worry about it.
Great. You like, whatever happens, happens. Wherever the wind blows me, it's just.
As long as I have control of the wind.
As long as I have control.
If someone else has control of the wind, I'm not good.
That's a bar. I like that. That's a bar. I like that. What's your favorite failure?
There's so many. There's a lot.
Obviously something that, that happened, you took a loss, but it taught you something meaningful, or you took something away from it that was greater than what could have been.
I was in college, and me and my friends were walking to a bar, and I was drunk, but I was also being the guy who needed attention shit. And we were on it was crossing Whaley Avenue. And,
oh shit!
It wasn't the greatest section to be drunk and being me. And there was a van parked at a red light as we were crossing the street, and I thought it would be fun to jump on their bumper and just bop on it. And with 3 of my friends with me, we were rugby players, so I'm like, oh, we're tough, whatever. We were going to this bar across the street quick to do a shot or two, and there was this chick who was into me having a party across the street the other way. So we were gonna get drunk quick and then go over there. And I was like, oh, I'm feeling like the man. I'm drinking, about to get laid, everything's happy.
Yeah.
And then I thought I would just jump on this guy's bumper. two of the biggest dudes you've ever seen got out, and I turned around thinking I have backup. All my friends are hiding in a bush, and I got my ass kicked on Whaley Avenue in the middle of the road. And then my friends dragged me over there. I went into the bar. They knew me. They're laughing. I got my face is swollen up. I do a shot, and then I go over and still got laid. So, but it taught me.
Oh my God, you okay?
And it wasn't about the late thing or anything like that. It was like, happiness happened out of it, but it's like, all right, man, you can have fun, but don't ruin other people's day.
Right.
I've taken that with comedy. When I do crowd work and I make fun of people, it's like, you can be an asshole completely and be mean to them, but they're going to go home with the mean experience. I'd rather than want to come back and see me again. So make sure you're making fun of you as much as you're making fun of someone else. Before you jump on someone else's car, have your own car, motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, instead of doing that shit.
Yeah.
Every failure I've had is I've got my ass kicked twice in life. That one, and when I was in Derby High School, and there was these two kids that were just dudes, hung out. Nowadays they would call them bros.
Right.
And they would just hang out. But when I was gay, I was gay. Yeah. If you just cuddling with a dude, I know now that everybody thinks about it, but it's just like, it's like, oh, we're just gonna watch Stand By Me.
You gay? I'm really gay.
I ain't gay. We just have sleepovers a bunch. Like, you gotta get a hug from the bros. 6 in a hot tub because we're not gay. No, you are gay. So, but these two dudes would always do that. So I thought it'd be funny as the bully idiot kid. Always, every time they spoke, like they'd raise their hand. Yeah. What's the answer? I'm like, gay. Like, and I would do it all the time. One day they walked out of class and then they just jumped me and beat the shit out of me. And I got suspended. They didn't because
they knew that you were a nuisance. Because
they said he just wouldn't stop calling them gay.
Right.
And as the principal said, we don't have gay people here. So like, that's how long ago. Early 90s.
Early 90s.
Like, we better not. They play football. They better not be. I'm like, oh, you should see them under the bleachers. But like, I learned when I came back from that, like, hey, you can have fun, joke around, but there's consequences to the shit you do in life. Just walking around thinking just because you're funny, you'll get away with shit. Someone sometimes kick your ass. Like, I'm not a man involved in violence. I'm not a fighting guy. But if someone runs their mouth too much to me, I'll do something.
No,
you gotta learn a lesson. So like, but also I know myself, like there's limits to put people through. And it's funny because those two dudes have like said, apologize. One of them is gay, so fuck you. Right. But, like, I hope I'm the reason why. He's like, I didn't know. We came together.
Stop calling me out.
Like,
you know I like bussy. Stop.
Yeah, but I always tell people it was the straight one that beat me up.
I mean, there's no. I mean, if you get beat by a gay man, there's no like. It's still a man. He just happens to like dick.
It depends how he's beating you up. If he beats you up with his pants down, you're like, all right,
oh shit,
and you fired up too.
Like, hey.
But when it comes to like comedy and things, I don't. And this is one of those stupid things that some comics argue with me. Right. I don't believe in bombing. I don't believe in killing. There is no bombing because we only learn from failures. Like, so like when I go on stage and tell a joke and it didn't hit, I got work to do. That's exciting. I want to keep writing. I want to work on shit. Exactly. If everything's hitting, then then either the audience is lying or I'm not trying hard enough. I'm just being simple. I'm being a hack, which is that generalization of comedy. When you do a hack, you're not a joke thief, but a hack is someone who's like, hey, what about airplane food? We all know about airplane food. What about this? What about Game of Thrones? We all know. It's an easy laugh. We all understand it. I rather push buttons and go places, so I only fail from that. When someone's at an open mic and they don't do well, I'm like, it's a batting practice, motherfucker. Yeah. If you go to if A-Rod hits out 4 in the batting practice, but none during the game, you still got no home runs. It's like, so it's like that's all you're working on. So there's no failure, but you also don't kill. Right. When someone's like, oh, I killed tonight, I'm like, oh, you made people laugh while telling jokes, like your job, like you're supposed. That's like someone who made a sandwich. Go, I made sandwiches today. Yeah. Like you're supposed to. You're a sandwich maker.
You should work at Subway then.
Right. You're an artist. Right. I know. But like so there is no failure when it comes to that. To creativity, there is no failure unless you decide it's a failure. Right. This didn't work out. Like when the comic goes on stage, I forgot my lines. I'm like, all right, no one in the audience knew what you were going to say.
Yeah, exactly.
Only you know that shit. Right. So if you own it, it's fine. So if you don't fail, to me, failures in life, like that shit, like that. Like, did I fail a relationship? Sure. But did I move on and other things happen? Yes. Yeah. So like you still learn from all. As long as you learn from them, they're not bad failures. I only learned to not jump on cars or call people gay. And I only do one of those things now.
Right. Depends on the night.
Your car is safe.
Right. Your car is safe. I feel like I haven't bombed yet, but I haven't done as well as I wanted to. Like with most people, I'm my own worst critic.
Right.
So it's like I feel like, I didn't get the laughs I wanted. I didn't hit this the way I wanted. Because like I said, a lot of my shit isn't really fleshed out the way I wanted to. So if I didn't get the laughs I wanted, that's my own fault. But every time I go up on stage and someone doesn't laugh at some shit, I still feel good after. Like I'm really doing what I want to do. Like I've been wanting to do this since I was 10 years old. Ever since I saw Chris Rock Bring the Pain, I'm like, that shit looks fun.
Yep.
And then every comedy special I see after that was somebody like when I seen Eddie Murphy Raw, or like, you know, I see a Bill Burr special, I see Jim Gaffigan, or like whoever. Like that shit just looks fun, just to give my raw ass thoughts, whether they be, you know, whether it be crowd work, whether it be like something I feel like that's a little dark. Fucking Patrice O'Neal, Pink Elephants, like one of my favorite specials ever. Just getting on stage and just giving people me. Like at first scared the shit out of me, but once it was like, it's people on there that just do bad. Like I can't be scared of them. I can't be scared of, like, I think I'm funny, so I just get out there and I get a couple laughs. I'm like, all right, this is cool. This is fun. So if I bomb, I'm still doing what I want to do because I put it off for so long that if I do bomb, it's like I'm still happy. Like I just did what the fuck I wanted to do.
We have a superpower,
right?
We go up with a dumb idea and then we elicit a feeling out of somebody.
Right.
That's the feeling you get. And if you don't get a feeling out of them, it's not that your superpower doesn't work. It's that they're just not the one you're battling right now. Exactly. They got other shit in life. Like you don't know how their day was. They might have been dragged to this comedy show by their wife, and they're like they hate their wife, their kids, or whatever. Yeah. And now they had to hear about this shit, and they're like, or maybe they're sitting there wanting to do comedy, and now they're mad that you're doing something they can't. There's so many things in their head that's happening too that happens that way. But yeah, I love doing it. I love performing in that same way. But like you brought up Patrice, a couple months before he died, he was at Foxwoods, and I was the house comic there. I got to meet him and his mom, who's amazing, and he's one of the greatest ever. And he was so cool. Like, so he was, first of all, if you were worried, if everyone thought like, did he know he was gonna die? Motherfucker was eating. His mother brought 2 double-sided pork chops, and so the comedy club is right next to inside Foxwoods. There's a I think it's called like Golden Dragon or something like that. Right. It's a Chinese place. So he walked over. He had his mother walk over with the pork chops and said, "Can you double fry these in the wok?" So he made them, the Chinese, cooked the food for him, and then he had a giant thing of grape soda, and he was eating that before he went on stage. So it's like the dude was not worried about his health, but he was on stage, and he had, you know, he's one of those dudes that you don't get involved if like hecklers get, because he destroys them. But we had a rule at the club, and they said that if there was ever a problem in the audience, you order a Pepsi on stage, because they didn't serve Pepsi. So they heard Pepsi, like, oh, there's a problem, go to that, order to that table. And I was opening for him, so I was standing off to the side. And so he's doing his thing, and this white dude is just being like awful, not even funny, just like stepping over everything, drunk, being dumb, whatever. And at one point, he's like making fun of him. Then he's not having fun. He just stops and goes, "Yo, let me get a," and he blanks on it. And he just goes, "Oh, never mind. Yo, Pat Oates, fuck that dude up." So he points to me, and it was like, what the fuck? And this dude stands up. He's a big motherfucker. Right? And I walk over, and he goes, "Come on, Pat Oates, fuck him up. Pat Oates will fuck you up." And I was like, as much as I'm like, you know, my ass kicked, how cool is it that Patrice knows my name? Right. And he's yelling it like I'm his boy. No, it was so funny.
Hey, yo, get him.
The guy just said that, he was, "Sorry, Patrice," like whatever. So he wasn't scared of me. Right. Because Pat Oates taught you. Yeah. But it was like the coolest. I mean, once again, dumb things in my life. For a moment, Patrice O'Neal, my hero was Greg Giraldo. I loved him, and I got to open for him before he died too. And that was one of my first times I got to open for. I was at the Funny Bone, and they asked me, I was doing well enough. There's a host. They're like, pick a date, see a comic you like, and you want to open for him, you can. And Greg Giraldo was coming, and it was amazing to be able to work with him. And I had a failure that night. That's when I wrote at the beginning of my book. I wrote about it. I said I was doing hack ass shit when I first started. Like I would do a joke. There used to be a strip club in West Haven called Gin D's, and it's like the minor league baseball strip club. The single A ball. They don't have a DJ. The girl would have to take the dollar she got and put it in the jukebox and then play the song and then walk back. So I had a joke about a girl that worked there that I called Thunder, and she was 4'4" both ways. And she would play Thunderstruck 3 times, and then she would go up, and I would bring someone on stage, and I would tie my shirt in a knot, and I pretend I'm the fast stripper. Dumb as shit. Like I look back at that, I'm like, you dumb hack, but whatever. People laughed at it. I was doing that while he was getting ready to come on stage, and I had done well for like 20 minutes, and then I did that for the last 5. And as I walked off and the host was getting ready to bring him up, he walks up to me, shakes my hand because he wasn't there earlier, and he goes, and I said, "Hi, nice to meet you." And he goes, "If I ever see you do shit like that again, I'll make sure you never work in comedy, motherfucker." And he walks away from me. And now I watch my hero kill.
Yeah.
And I'm ready to quit. I'm going to quit comedy. He just told me to fuck off. I'm probably getting fired from the show. I'm probably fired anyway. So as the show ended and he was signing autographs and shit, I started walking away. And he goes, hey, come here.
Yeah.
I'm like, so I come over. He explains to me, he goes, hey, I've been sober for the first time in like 4 years, so I'm going through some shit. I'm trying to get my kids back. I'm trying to go doors. I got a lot of shit going on. But
so what I say got more to do with me than it got to do with you.
Well, I thought that, but instead he goes, but I walked in here not even giving a fuck what's going on. And then I watched you for 20 minutes. And I'm like, and someone told me you're only doing comedy 3 years. And I'm like, this dude's good. This dude's funny. He gets it. And then you went up with that fucking bullshit. And you told that audience they can come on stage with me. They can do what they want. We're animals. We're not entertainers. There's no respect for us. You did all this. Why did you were so much better. You could come up with one more joke. You were so much better than what you did. You just took the easy way out. And it made me so mad. I was like, fuck you. I was about to say I was going to recommend you work with other people. And now I would never, I'm not going to get you fired, but there are people that would ruin your comedy for doing that shit. That makes you a local hack instead of a good comic. That fucking last joke. And then I'm like, you could have been nicer. Yeah. So the next night, I had to bring him up. It was a 2-man show, and for the second show, so I did my whole thing. Whatever, didn't do that joke, did fine. And as he was walking up, I announced his name, but now he wasn't on the side. Funny One's a big room, but you can't see on the side.
Yeah.
I guess he didn't realize he was coming up right then, so he went to the bathroom quick. So I yelled his name. They're playing music. No one's coming up. I'm standing there for a minute looking around, and then he finally runs up and he goes, I'm sorry, man, I was in the bathroom. I'm like, you ever bullshit like that again? I'll make sure you never work in comedy, motherfucker. He laughed his ass off. And when he had passed away, I got asked to tell that story at one of those shows they did, whatever like that too. So it was cool. But I ended the story by saying, so if you want to know the moral of the story, God liked me better. But he was a Rose dude. He would have appreciated that.
Right.
But like, once again, I have a story about Greg Giraldo. I got to work with JB Smoove, and then unfortunately that brought his brother to our comedy scene, which is terrible. But I'm kidding. I think he's a good dude. But like JB, we came to Connecticut.
Floyd, man.
He's a good dude.
Yeah.
He's a good dude, but I met him through his brother, who I got to work with, and I learned the greatest lesson about comedy. His brother was performing on 6 different shows at Jokers. After one of this is right when he started being Leon on Curb. And after the show, this older dude comes over, and I'm standing next to him, and he goes, hey, my son is a big fan. He's real sick. And JB's like, oh my God, is he okay? He goes, no, not like that. Just like he has a cold, but he was going to come to the show.
Right.
We watch you on Curb. Would you mind signing something for him? And he goes, you got your phone? And he got his phone. And he goes, go ahead, put the video on. And then he was Leon for 5 minutes talking to the son, talking shit about his dad, joking around, made a whole video for him and said that. And he goes, and here's my manager's number. The next time that I'm in Connecticut, you got tickets. You and your son, come see me. I'll take care of you.
Word.
And he walks away. And I was like, and we were doing 6 shows. And I was just like, dude, that's so cool. He goes, I wouldn't be making money or doing this without that.
Without them, yeah.
Without a family who gets around and goes, I'm special. He's like, I'm an idiot on TV and running around. I'm having fun. If people we don't thank them, what's the point? We have to stop acting like we're important. They're the reason we're important. So if I don't do that for them, why would they ever come back? The reason why this is sold out is because they all love me, so I have to love them back. And it's like that's stuck with me too. Like I still can't love people, but like, but I realize
how the fuck am I love people?
I realize now when they come up and they tell me things about my jokes, realize that it resonated with them, so appreciate it. You don't have to let them fucking tell you what to do or be disrespectful, but when they want to thank you, it be acceptable with that, because like you're chasing a dream, but without them buying tickets to go see it, you wouldn't be able to do that shit.
Right. Worst time on stage, worst set, worst time on stage.
In retrospect, the one I just said about Greg Giraldo.
Okay.
But before that, I mean, there's a couple, nothing too bad. Like, one time I was opening for this dude, Josh Wolf, and he's known in like LA and stuff like that. And he's a big edibles guy, and I'm not a edibles guy. Like, I'll take them, but I don't do anything when I go on stage. Right now, I'll smoke weed at open mics and shit, but I don't do it when I go on stage because my ADHD helps my crowd work and all that shit.
Right.
So I don't like to do that. But afterwards, after watching 8 comics fail and all ask for my advice, I'm like, yeah, I gotta get a little high. I'm like, if you get me high, I will talk to you more about your jokes. Right. So it's like, but when I stay at places like casinos and stuff, I will take edibles because I don't drink. So like the best thing in the world is to walk around a casino 2 a.m. on edibles, watching people fail. Right. Like you're losing money, they break up, shit like that. Yeah. The slot machine lights. It's a good time. So I wasn't doing anything. I was opening for him that weekend. He plays music and stuff like that. And he had said to me on Saturday, he's like, I might call you back up on stage to do a song with me. I'm like, I don't sing. He goes, yeah, but we just do an ad lib thing where you just make something up. I'm like, whatever, it sounds done. And then he said to me in between the shows, he goes, we're not going to do that afterwards. And he goes, by the way, you want an edible? And I was going to have one more show. I knew it wouldn't kick in until I was done my 20-minute set anyway. Right, yeah. So I'm like, you know what? Sure. So I take the edible. And then when he's about to go on stage, he goes, oh, I'm going to bring you up. And I'm like, you said no? He goes, yeah. That's why I gave you that edible. I was lying. This is gonna be fun. So I go up and shit. I don't know what the fuck, because it was some strong ass shit. And nothing was wrong, but I've never felt out of control on stage. I always have control of what I'm doing. And this was the one where it's like all of a sudden he's like, say this, and I'm like, what? And he's like, what's wrong? I'm like, huh? And I have a video of it. Right. I end up like doing all right with it, but it was just like, it was embarrassing because I almost felt like I wasn't a comic. I was just like a guy who was like a Make-A-Wish brought up and just like clap for the people. Like, yeah, so we did it.
Look at this fucking guy.
But besides that, like I said, there's no fails on stage. Everything was an opportunity. There's shows that haven't gone well. There's shows where I probably, like when I used to care about what people would say, like I used to take shows and someone's like, hey, can you be clean? I'm like, all right, I guess. But then, like, well, you would do what you think is clean, but they're like, oh, no, you said this. I'm like, well, that wasn't dirty. Like, then there is no definition of clean. So I'm like, fuck that shit. I'm going to be me. Don't hire me for shit. You don't hire a guy to make you sushi when all he does is make sandwiches. Right. You know what I mean? So, like, just hire what you need. So, like, I had those kind of fails where I bombed because it was all, like, soccer moms who wanted clean jokes, and I'm talking about dirty shit, but like you shouldn't have hired me then. Right, so I didn't do bad. You just weren't on board for what I was doing. You just weren't my demographic. Even though if they just let their inhibitions go and stopped being worried about the other moms and what they thought, they would have laughed and had fun. Because even afterwards, they'd come up to me and go, you were funny. I'm like, where the fuck were you when I needed your laughter?
Where were you when I needed you?
Yeah, but like I've made decisions on stage that I shouldn't have. Like I was in a contest years ago in Newport, Rhode Island. It was all Rhode Island comics, and I went up in it, and I made it to the finals. And I beat a lot of guys that I probably shouldn't have. But in the finals,
you shouldn't have.
Yeah, they were higher level than me at that point. They were guys. No, they were all expected to win. Yeah, okay. I'm this dude coming out of here. Everyone's getting the audience is choosing the winners. Okay, yeah. So like I'm doing well enough where I'm making people's friends root for me instead. So like I was the underdog coming through. So I was happy with myself, but I had no worries about. I'm like, if I lose, I'm supposed to lose. Right. So if I just go hard, I'll do whatever. Right. So I make it to the finals of this thing, and I'm going against a guy who's a deaf comedian. He used to have no hearing. He got the inocular things, whatever. And he calls himself the Deaf Comedy Jam. Just a fucking fat ass white dude. Yeah. I'm the real Deaf Comedy Jam. I was like, bullshit. So, and then he gets there, and then all his friends and family, he's from that town. All his friends and family are there. They're reciting his jokes to him before he fucking even tells them. Like, he's the Beatles, and they know all the songs. So I'm like, there's no chance of me at all being this. But he goes up, he's like, well, I was deaf, and all his jokes like that. So I was the second comic to go, and my other buddies were there watching. And so when I went up, I stopped and I went, hey guys, before we start, I just want to let you guys know I just got some bad news. I have cancer. Anyway, let's do this. And then I did my set, and they were so on board, and they were cheering and laughing. And at the very end, I went, fuck you, man, I ain't got cancer. You just bought his deaf shit. I'm just proving that all you give a fuck about his handicap shit. So fuck off. You know I was better. Of course I lost. They were booing. They were mad. I could have just like lied and won it, but I was like, I'd rather be the asshole and prove a point. Whatever. So like this dude was just doing his thing. He used to not be able to hear a miracle happen, and I'm shitting on it. Like, and he's a good guy, and I keep telling this story to a lot of people, and he's like, stop telling this story. Everyone knows who the Deaf Comedy Jam comic is. It's me. So, but yeah, I shouldn't have done that, but I was like, fuck you, I'm ruining your day. Because to me, I hate anyone that's handicapped in comedy. Because the more handicapped you are, the more opportunities you get. You get that. It's way better. Like I did a show one time where a girl did have cancer, and she did like a 5-minute set, and I said to her, don't talk about the cancer, just do your set. It's gonna, because other comics have to go on after you. It's gonna become Make-A-Wish. It's gonna become sad and weird. So I said, she's finished your set, she stops and goes, I might die soon. Everyone's like crying and shit. And so then I come up, I'm hosting it, and she calls me over and she goes to hug me. And I'm like, why are we hugging? I don't know. Right. And then she held me, and I grabbed the mic and I went, hold me closer, girl with cancer. And everybody just started booing. I'm like, fuck you. I have 2 friends who still bring that shit up. Like,
that's how I felt about my showcase, because I went after the girl, Rachel, that had the traumatic brain injury. I was like, how the fuck am I supposed to? Yeah, we had 2. But I was like, how the fuck am I supposed to go after that? Yo, everybody loves her for her stories and the fact that she has a traumatic brain injury and she's getting on stage and she's telling these wacky ass stories. Like, how the fuck am I supposed to follow that?
Filthy.
Filthy.
Filthy. You're sucking cock. That dude who gets his dick sucked by a lady with brain damage.
I don't think she had brain damage at the time. I hope
no,
not.
she says she's still doing it.
I mean, she's like her boyfriend.
Yeah, you don't lose brain damage.
Yeah, you don't lose. I'm talking about when she was talking about she fucked Fabulous or some shit like that. She was talking like, talking about,
oh no, I hope Fabulous didn't do that.
Yeah, I'll be like, I hope you didn't do that.
Breathes about me. but yeah, you get your son dick by somebody with special needs. That's gotta be tough. You gotta think about yourself.
Special place.
That'd be my failure. You know what I mean? Right. It's like she didn't fuck you. It's like, what? I couldn't even get the special needs.
Girl. Fuck me.
I'm not retarded.
Holy shit. We gotta wrap up soon because I gotta go and get my kids and shit. The Pat O Show.
It's called POS. It does stand for Pat O Show, but also stands for piece of shit. We take stories that are trending.
Why is it Pat O's is sad on?
It used to be that, and then I had someone else running that thing. My old podcast was called Pat Oates is Sad because people always said no matter what, even though I'm having a good time, my face always looked like I wasn't happy.
Right. Okay.
So I always said I had resting basset hound face, and like so we called the show Pat Oates is Sad because everybody kept saying that shit. But it changed and evolved, and it became like the Pat Oates Show. I didn't really want to call it that because I have a co-host, but we like the POS thing, so it became that. We take stories that are trending. I usually find them all in New York Post. I don't do political. We just do stupid stories in the news, and then me, my co-host, and a guest, we choose who the piece of shit is in the stories.
Okay.
So we read it, and we also bullshit and do shit like that too. And I let some local comics on, and we have lately. I found this woman that gives us she gives me like a pipeline to like C-list porn stars that come on. So I get like open mic porn stars on my fucking thing.
Yeah, so you had like 3 porn stars on already.
In a row. And they were fun. They were good. The first one I ever was going to do, I'm like, I don't know. I want funny people. I don't give a fuck about porn. I just don't care. I'm good power to them. Listen, you go out, you do you, baby girl. You do your thing. You sell you. It's just not, I don't care about it. You know what I mean? And also, once I get to know you, I can't jerk off to you. So don't ruin the illusion.
So beforehand, like, have you researched them beforehand?
No. The woman reached out to me and said, here's the first one. And her name was Ebony Mystique.
I mean, like, have you like watched their porn at all?
No, I didn't know Ebony Mystique at all. But I met her, and I'm like, she's amazing. But her background was her father was a high-ranking member of the Black Panthers, and then her tagline was, "That's why I fuck white people in porn." And I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want this on, but it was supposed to be like a joke thing.
Yeah.
So I even like messaged her. I said, let her know not to be that. I don't want that shtick. I just want her to be her. But she was also a nurse during COVID, and she had a lot of great knowledge of things, and she was fun. So when I had her on, I'm like, yeah, of course she has a sense of humor. She takes dick all the time. You got to entertain in between. Right. So she was good. We had an OnlyFans lady on. She was boring as hell. And then we had this other lady on, Jenna Love. She's from Hartford, and she had told a story how she had like an OnlyFans scavenger hunt. And these dudes had to find her in the mall, the West Farms, and if they found her, they could like get blown in a Nordstrom's bathroom. And my kids lived out that way, so I called my daughter and said, "You're not allowed to go to the West Farms Mall anymore, and you're never going to the Nordstrom's ever." But she did. She blew 2 people in the Nordstrom's bathroom, which, by the way, that's a sad life for that dude. The guy driving in the car.
Yeah.
I hope I find her. Look at that scavenger cunt. That's what I called it.
Yeah, I remember hearing that in the episode.
But yeah, so it's been fun talking to all different kinds of people, but I don't cater to them or anything like that. But we have fun with it. It was that was a show I shot a pilot for Anthony Cumia. And then thank goodness, because then during COVID he became very like conservative and racist. I didn't kind of want my name tied to that, but like on his network I was gonna have that. But with COVID happened, they stopped taking on shows. But I liked the idea of that show. And I met my co-host Bobby through that because he's an editor for them, producer. Okay. So I was like, let's just keep doing the show. So that's another thing where like, listen, I don't get a lot of followers or views or anything like that, but I just enjoy it.
It's just doing. Yeah.
I just have fun talking shit.
Yeah, like we all do.
Yeah.
Also the book, How Not to Suck at Comedy. You put that out 3 years ago at this point?
Yeah, I started writing articles for a group called Laugh Staff, and they had asked me when Trump was about to be president and Chappelle was going to host Saturday Night Live for the first time. I had wrote a post on Facebook about how it made me feel like younger me, because not only was it Chappelle, but Tribe was going to be on. Yeah. And I'm like, I just feel like a kid in college, because Tribe was my shit. Like Q-Tip is the shit. So I was like very excited. I wrote this whole thing about it, how excited I was to watch it. And these guys reached out to me and said, would you mind writing an article about when you watch it? And I said, sure. And they liked what I did. And they go, would you write, you're a comic that works hard, but you're not known. And I'm like, well, thanks, bitch.
Bitch.
But they're like, would you write articles weekly about the life of an unknown comic? And I did that for like a week or two, but I noticed that didn't really care about that. I was going to open mics and watching other comics fail, if you will, or making mistakes, stuff like that. So I started to just write articles instead about watching this comic do this when they should try to do this. Like, and then I started realizing comics don't know how to ask questions. Like, how much time do I get? When do I get paid? How do I find out this? You know, how should I handle myself on Twitter? Like, maybe don't be racist on Twitter. Maybe that's why you're not getting booked. Shit like that. So I started writing articles like that. And then someone else approached me and said, you should take all those articles and make them into a book. This would be a good guide for comics, because you're not telling comics how to be a comic. You're just giving them the little keys so they don't have to fail as much at the beginning. And you kind of just flip through and you can find all this different shit, like how to craft your jokes, how to find your voice. Shit, I was learning and still learning, but I'm going through the same levels there. It's not someone who made it like Seinfeld telling you how to be a comic. It's someone who's still struggling and fighting through it, giving you guides and stuff. And it's been well received, so it's been pretty cool that people like it. But I didn't want to give it a name like you're a super comedian. So I'm like, this is how you not suck. That's why I called it that. You're not going to be good, but you're going to not suck afterwards.
Now, why aren't you on like Twitter, Instagram, TikTok?
I am on Instagram.
Okay.
I'm too old for TikTok.
All right. I seen fucking.
I know. They shouldn't be there, though.
I mean, hey.
It's silly and stupid, but no, some people should have their own shit. Right. Twitter was too angry for me. I don't like an angry world. It was too angry.
And Facebook is any better?
Yeah, I can control it more.
Okay.
Facebook, I mean, I recently cut down. I had 5,000 followers. I cut it down to 2,000.
Oh, damn.
I just made cuts.
Shit,
I went hard, and some comics got mad because I would just sit in the bathroom on a Sunday and just start
deleting people,
whatever. And then someone's like, "Oh, you cut me out." I'm like, "All right,
yeah,
you can come back."
Yeah.
I'm making my news feed like it's a newspaper. I want to read the shit I want to read. I follow the people I like and enjoy. Why should I read shit I don't give a fuck about?
Right.
So if you want me to be your friend and you're hurt by that, I've told people I will be your friend. I'll just unfollow you. But you can still see my shit. And I also got tired of the people making dumb comments. I also had to. When you go on certain podcasts like the Anthony Cumia world and shit like that, there's some angry motherfuckers out there that just like the Opie and Anthony world that was part of that, these other comics. And I became guests on those shows, so therefore their followers were just, they think they're busting balls and having fun, but it was just dumb. Like dudes from Australia yelling at me about ex-girlfriends of mine. I'm like, why do you even know that shit? It's weird. So I was just like, I'm actually getting mad staring at my phone. And I just said last August, I'm like, I'm just gonna get rid of Twitter. I don't have fun with it. I don't care about it. And people liked it, so I got rid of it. And I've been sleeping better. I'm not kidding. I feel better in life for over a year now. I just don't have it. I'm fine with it.
Right. I love Twitter.
I love following certain people. I love seeing certain things on it. I just don't need it myself. Someone can just tell me what's on it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't need the anger anymore.
Yeah. I'm writing a joke about social media. Hopefully I get to, flesh everything out and get it the way I want.
But also, if it's not out, you can still just fucking work on it.
Yeah,
But don't get so perfect that you get upset.
No. It's not out yet. I'm
saying just in general with your jokes.
Yeah.
That perfection thing. Some of the greatest things come out of stumbles.
Yeah.
Some of the greatest jokes come out of not meaning to have it happen a certain way. But some of my best punchlines came from me thinking one thing, saying something else, go, oh fuck, that works better.
That works way better. Right.
So don't be afraid to let it fail a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you go so particular, then it's harder for everyone to get.
Right.
Because no one's perfect. Then they're almost afraid to laugh at the pristineness of it.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I guess that's good advice. I'll be hitting you up for more advice because
whenever, you know that.
I need it.
You ain't Ryan. You go ahead.
Yeah. Ryan, love you, man.
I do not.
Where can people find you on Facebook and Instagram?
Instagram is Pat_Oates. The main thing to find me on is YouTube. If you subscribe to my POS podcast YouTube channel, go on there. We also have a Patreon too. But if you're all poor, I don't give a fuck. Just jump on the regular one. It's fine. I don't really care as long as you're enjoying the show and checking it out. And then on Facebook, it's just Pat Oates and just friend request me. Okay. And I will see who your common friends are, and if they are people that I used to date who hate me, you will not get a request. And then, but if not, you're in. Right. But I give you a 2-week trial of actually following you,
right?
And then paying attention to your shit. And then afterwards, if I don't like it, I won't. If you're a mean person, then I will get rid of you. But if you're just like boring, then I will just unfollow you. But you'll be my friend.
Right. Okay. All right. Y'all know where to follow me at. If you heard about this show, then you know my other podcast. You know where I'm at on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, all that good shit. What else I got?
Well, I'd like to say thank you. This was fun.
Oh no, yeah, thank you.
I want to say that too. We just leaving. I'm like, I'm ungrateful.
No, we're not. You got any dates coming up? Any shows you want people to check out?
If you find me on social media, you'll see them there.
Okay, cool. Pat Oates, appreciate you for coming by. Appreciate you for coming to the dojo. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for me. So yeah, one thing's for certain: we too much for these niggas and three much for these hoes. I go by the name of Domino. That is Pat Oates. And we out of here. Y'all be easy.
Domino, motherfuckers, what's happening?
C'est tout.